Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It looks like our gathering is very small today, and that's okay. Going to be presenting to you a machine that we don't see often, although we have seen one recently on this channel that looks really, really similar to this. This is the Singer 6233. It would have, probably in the 1970s time frame. Not a lot of information out there about it. And the thing I'll tell you right away about this machine is that it's surprisingly strong. As a matter of fact, like I put in the title, this machine actually has more strength by amp 1-2, has more strength than all but with one machine within the Slantomatic family. One machine within the Slantomatic family is equal in power to this machine. But my point is, with this being a much younger vintage sewing machine, many would assume right away that it's not going to have the grit and the drive that we expect to see from a lot of our vintage machines, our much older machines that might come from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, like we see often on this channel. Don't let this machine fool you. It's also surprisingly well made as well. Most of this machine is going to be metal. There are going to be worm gears that are going to be a Teflon plastic style design, but a lot of companies move to that. Even Husqvarna moved to making some of their gears that originally were metal, making them out of a Teflon type material. And the way they engineer that material, it really is about as strong as steel. It's just cheaper to make it that way. It's less expensive. And that's why they go that route. So when it comes to a machine like this, which by the way belongs to Holly, who will be picking it up today at 12 o'clock sharp. She was really definite about that. I'll be there at 12 o'clock sharp. I'd be there earlier, but you're going to be live streaming the machine. She joked around and said, so I'll wait that little bit longer to get my machine back. But everyone, I think, when the work is finally done on a sewing machine that's been in the workshop, especially if it's been in the workshop for a while, they're always anxious to get that machine, but they're all also kind of excited to see it do its dance before they even pick it up. And that's why I do these live streams and premieres. I was talking with Susie about that the other day, and I explained, my philosophy is I realize that I'm not the least expensive workshop for someone to send their machine to. In many cases, they have to pay the cost of shipping it. They have to pay the cost of return shipping. They have to pay for the services, the repairs, all of that. It's a big investment. So one of the ways I try to acknowledge that and honor them is the wrap up after the machine is done is to do a live stream so that I can honor that owner, honor that machine that's been brought back to great. And I think all of us, even if we're a little bit on the shy side, all of us like to be in the spotlight sometimes. And that's what these live streams do. Even if the owner can't be here, I'm going to put them in the spotlight. And then when they watch it later as a video, they're like, oh, well, yeah, this is really cool. I'm kind of the center of attention. And everybody is watching my machine on Scott's channel. So I want to, in a genuine way, I want to make those owners and customers that make the investment to send their machines or bring their machines to the workshop. I want them to feel special because they are. And anyway, let me look at the live chat real quick and say hello to our very small group on this particular Tuesday. It varies, doesn't it? Our numbers go up, our numbers go down, and it's all well and good. So let's see. Good morning to my faithful Susie from Minnesota, my faithful Alex from California, my faithful Candido from New York. And yeah, I think that's it so far, at least in the live chat. That was quick. We should be done in about 10 minutes with this live stream. I'm kidding. We should be done soon because our group is, we've got an intimate gathering today, don't we? A fairly intimate gathering. Okay, so let me before we even get into this machine, so I don't run out of time again. Let me grab Susie's box because we have a little bit of unfinished business from the last live stream, and the unfinished business is our winner of those needles that the leaders gave away at the last live stream. And if you weren't there, you're saying, "What are you talking about?" Well, at the last live stream, I introduced a brand new needle, at least brand new to us. And I don't think anyone's ever seen it sew before. So I showed these super universal needles. There they are. I presented these super universal needles for the first time. They're basically a universal needle, but they're safe in the kitchen too. And Candido and Susie and myself, I think, joked about that a little bit, that they're covered with some sort of like a Teflon material or something like that, so that they're supposed to be virtually resistant to anything sticking to them. So if you're dealing with a material that tends to be real sticky, kind of tricky, and can goof around with a needle, these might be the needle that you want to look at trying out. And so I gave a packet of these away, and I'm going to give another packet away today. So if someone wants to give these a try, I'll let the leaders again come up with an impromptu contest that they can present during the live stream. They might do it right away. They might do it in the middle of the live stream. They might do it at the end of the live stream. That's going to be their call. But I'll give another pack of these away today, along with one of Susie's hats as well. And we're going to be unboxing those right now, seeing what she's come up with now. I know that she's made some modifications, some changes as far as the design, the look. So we'll check out Susie's latest batch of hats that a very fortunate individual will have a chance to win one of those hats, their choice, and also win a pack of these super duper pooper scooper universal needles. I know I'm going to get nasty notes from Schmetz saying, don't call it pooper scooper. It's only super universal sewing needles. Well, this channel is all about coloring outside of the lines and having fun. So yeah, I'm going to call them super duper pooper scooper universal needles. And anyone that wants to try to say that really fast, like 5 or 6 times, and record it, I'll play it on the live stream because it's not easy to say. Not really easy to say. So, at any rate, I'll leave that up to the leadership team, how they want to give away one of Susie's hats today, how they want to give away another pack of these super duper pooper scooper universal needles. And we'll give more stuff away today. It's kind of fun, isn't it? But I'm not going to be sewing with these needles today. I'm going to be sewing with a different needle that our dear friend, most of you remember, Sonny, that passed away recently. Sonny, whenever I would grab a needle and I would put it in one of the machines that was size 100 or bigger, she would call it basically, does anyone know what she would call it? Instead of giving it away to you, does anyone know what Sonny would call those really, really big needles that are size 100 or bigger? Has to do with deep sea fishing or deep sea hunting, perhaps. Yeah, exactly right. She would call them a harpoon needle. She'd call them a harpoon needle. So for something different today, just to do something different, and also in honor of Susie, because you know what? When we lose a family member, it's not, we get sentimental for a little bit and then they're forgotten. Sunny will forever, I think, be in all of our hearts and minds. She's such a sweetheart, and I know all of us miss her. So in her honor today, and to keep her live in our memories, I'm going to be using a harpoon needle today, a definite harpoon needle. This is a size 110 leather needle. So we're going to be messing around with leather and a wide field of materials today. I'll show you those materials after we get done unboxing Susie's hats. But needless to say, when this needle goes through whatever material we're sewing, you're going to know that it was there. You're going to know that it was there. I don't know if anyone else has or regularly maybe sews with larger needles like this, but when they go through, man, oh man, they leave a footprint. They really leave a footprint. And I don't know that I haven't sewn with a size 110 leather needle for probably a couple years. So this will be the first time when we're trying it on this Singer 6233. And it might be hard to see it in the shot, but a size 110 is equal to a size 18 needle. Now, when you get into the 18 needle size, you're almost at a light industrial level. You're almost at a light industrial level. So it's a big harpoon needle, and we'll see how it does. I think it'll do fine on leather, but we'll see how it does on some of the other material sew-offs today. The other thing I'll show you real quick as far as the setup of this machine, you know about the needle. I'm going to be using my standard thread that I use quite often. This thread right here, I'll show it to you in the shot. It's my general purpose thread that I get from Joann's. Again, on the weekend, I go in there on the weekend. I drop off more Sewaholic posters. Some of you know what I'm talking about as far as the Sewaholic posters. And then when I'm in there, I scoop up a combination of Gutermann thread and this Coates & Clark dual duty XP thread as well. And this is really great stuff. It's not what people would consider necessarily a premium thread, but it certainly is a great all-purpose thread, and we use it quite often on this channel. So dual duty XP thread along with the harpoon needle will be our setup today. And really, I should be using a little bit heavier of a thread with this harpoon needle because it has quite a large eye on it. But I'm going to try to run with this, and we'll see how it does. We might have a little bit of an issue with stitch clarity because there's enough movement within that eye that thread might move around a little bit. But I'll try to adjust the tension as we go and keep that stitch looking nice and sharp and page 34. Okay. All right, let's see here. Oh yeah, I meant to give. Hold on a second. I haven't offered these for a while. I'm gonna give the leadership team the opportunity. I'm gonna give the leadership team opportunity to give away two hats and two sets of needles today. 2 packs of needles. Okay. I also want to give away, I haven't talked about these for a while, and I'm willing to admit when I haven't succeeded at something. And that's why I do live streams. Live streams are a prime opportunity to run into problems and to struggle. And I'm okay doing that in front of the family because I think all of you like to see the struggles because then we ultimately overcome them. We ultimately have success in the end. And that's really, I think, something to celebrate. But I have not had success on a live stream yet with these Schmetz double eye needles. And these Schmetz double eye needles, if you're brand new to this channel, these are Schmetz answer to offering an alternative to the dual needle or the twin needle type setups that have been around for a very long time. So if you're curious to try to win some needles today, doesn't matter where you're located, where you are in the USA, where you are in the world. It doesn't matter where you live. I think the only place I haven't shipped is the moon. But if I can get FedEx to deliver to the moon or UPS to deliver to the moon, we will get your needles there and one of Susie's hats. So I'm going to give away a pack of these double eye Schmetz needles. They're a size 80-12, so much, much smaller than the needle we're going to be sewing with today. A size 12 versus a size 18. Yeah, a big difference. But if you're interested to try these double eye needles, then find out what the leaders have in store for you so you can try to win one of these packs today. Okay. And then I'm also, as I shared a little bit ago, I'm also giving one of these packs away, these super duper pooper scooper universal needles by by Schmetz, and I believe I have them in size. I have them in size 100 and also in size 90 as well. So I've got them in size 14 and also size 16. So we'll have two winners hopefully in this live stream today. One will have an opportunity to walk away with a pack of the double eye needles. The other one will have a chance to walk away with a pack of these super duper pooper scooper universal needles, and they'll have their choice of either a size 90 or a size 100. Plus, they'll get their choice of one of Susie's hats as well, hot off the presses. She just got done making them a short time ago out in Minnesota. So jump at this opportunity. A lot of the channels, once in a blue moon, they'll give something away. I love giving stuff away all the time, especially if it's a new product with a company that most all of us love and respect, and that is the Schmetz sewing needle company. I think they do a fabulous job, and I think a lot of us use their needles. And this is just an opportunity to try some of their needles that maybe you didn't try before. Whether it's the double eye needle or whether it's the super duper pooper scooper, universal needle, this will be something different. And maybe if you get together with your sewing friends, you can say, hey, I'm trying out a different needle today. Let's check it out together. So that's kind of cool, isn't it? Yeah. So let me grab Susie's hats and we'll take care of that straight away. And then we'll move on with checking out this model 6233. Again, a machine, surprisingly, that is more powerful by amperage than the 201-2, the Rolls-Royce of Singers, more powerful than all of the Slantomatics with the exception of one, the 401A, and has more power than pretty much any of the Singer standard machines that we've shown on this channel. It's got a meaty motor in it, and it's not a puny weeny little type of motor. It is I went through this motor with fine tooth comb, and it is built incredibly well. And speaking of that, I'll throw a question out. And actually, I'll throw a question out to my leaders. I'll give them the answer. And I'll send it to, let me see here. I think I'll send it to Susie, and then Susie, if you'll share it with Emma and Candido. I'm getting more and more concerned, about Christine from Canada. I've sent her a couple of text messages, no response. So again, if some of the leaders want to try to reach out to her by email, and let's find out how our friend is doing. I know Canada has been struggling with a lot of fires near where Christine is. And I'm hoping that they haven't affected her directly. So keep her in thought and prayer if you would, please. Let's see here. So I'm going to shoot this over to Susie real quick. My question to you is twofold. And if the leaders want to use this as part of the giveaway, that's up to them. But my first question is, I'm really bragging about this model 6233. It's a semi-vintage machine. It's fairly young compared to a lot of the machines we see on this channel. But I've talked about the quality, mostly metal throughout, built like a tank. Excellent motor design, excellent traction design as far as drive and how that motor power across the machine down to the needle. It's built really well. It's really quite an excellent machine. And but where was this machine made? That's question number one. And what size motor am I talking about if it's bigger than the 201-2 and a number of the other machines that I mentioned? So I'm going to shoot that over to Susie real quick. If the leaders want to use that as part of their giveaway for people to win those double eye needles and those super duper pooper scooper universal needles, along with one of Susie's hats, I'll leave that up to the leadership team. This is their contest. They can run it how they want to run it. But I'm going to send it over to her real quick. And then, we'll see where this goes. Give me just a second. Okay, so I just sent the answer over to Susie. So now it'll be up to Susie to share it with I didn't even notice in the live stream if Emma was here. I know Emma had some things going on. If she's here, good morning, Emma. If she didn't make it yet, then when she gets here, but Susie will share that with the rest of the leaders, and then they can decide what they want to do with that information. They might just go a different direction. That's up to them. So let me grab Susie's hats, and we'll get this rolling. Let's get this rolling. Okay. Okay, Susie should have gotten it by now, so I'm going to leave that in her capable hands now. And let's do this unboxing. I want to see what Susie came up with this time. And if you don't know it, Susie does this just out of generosity. She doesn't get compensated. She doesn't want a lot of fanfare. She just does it because she wants to use her talents and her time to be a blessing to the family and the family worldwide. Remember, again, if you're new to this, remember that I've got to cross off Susie's address real quick so you don't catch a glimpse of it. Remember that these hats have made their way around the world already. If anyone knows from what I've shared, or if Susie wants to share, where have Susie's hats landed so far? Where have they been sent to? If anyone wants to type that into the live chat, because some of our new folks might not know. They might not know. They just might not know. Okay. Oh, and also real quick, before I look back at the live chat again to see if I can welcome some more folks, let me also acknowledge that we have a brand new moderator. And I didn't mention her just a second ago when I was naming off leaders. So I apologize for that. Jenny, who is also our ambassador to needles. So I think when I give away some of these needles that a lot of people haven't heard of yet, she probably gets really excited because she's done a lot of research on needles, and she's our needle expert. So really excited to have Jenny join us on the team and be a part of the team and contribute any way that she possibly feels comfortable contributing. I don't put any boundaries on leaders. They contribute as they want to contribute during the live streams. And I'm so grateful for them doing that. They take the lead, and that's the way it should be. So, all right, let's get into Susie's box and see what she has. And Susie's a good packer. I'm like layer by layer by layer here. Okay. And here's Susie's note right on top. Let's see here. Scott, a new design in this small package. It's not a small package, Susie. It's like a medium-sized priority mailbox. It's like a medium-sized priority mailbox. This is a pretty good-sized box. Okay, and Susie writes, a new design in this small package, 3 different ones. Enjoy, have fun, Susie. Okay, so let's see what they are. Let's see what they are. All right, let me move that. Let me move the box. Oh, this is clever. I see what you mean. This is clever. Oh, fun. Fun. I'm just curious, even before I look at these, Susie and Emma have started this thing rolling now. It's going to go viral eventually. It's going to go viral. They've started referring to me as the Wizard of Ocanto. I think that's what they're saying. So I'm curious. I see one of my phrases popping up on this first hat. I'm wondering if Susie is going to do a batch that say Wizard of Ocanto, and then everyone's going to wonder, who the heck is that? Who the heck is that? So this is one of Susie's new designs. Workshop magic, workshop magic, workshop magic. If any of you do Facebook, you've heard me say that repeatedly in some of the reels that I post on Facebook showing you some of the things I'm doing behind the scenes, including the stuff I've been doing on this 6233. I love this, Susie. What a clever thing. You don't have to have the company name on a hat for people to figure it out and to draw the connection. You know what I mean? I mean, look at what Walt Disney did with a mouse. They don't have to put Walt Disney World on any of their hats. All they do is put a mouse. And that mouse, everyone knows Mickey Mouse. They do. And so this is brilliant. What a brilliant thing to do. I love it. So Workshop Magic in red, Workshop Magic in gray. And I know from our last contest, you have to forgive me, I'm just drawing an absolute blank. I think it was Teresa that won a pack of those needles last time, but I didn't get to the unboxing. I think that's correct, but the leaders can correct me in the live chat and type out who won that. But we didn't finish the giveaway because I didn't have the hats unboxed, and that individual, I believe it was Teresa, didn't have a chance to pick out a hat. So this is our gray one that Susie just came up with. This is our red one. And then we have some that say Cow Country Workshop Magic in different colors. These are really close, but this is kind of a lighter gray. And this is a darker gray that also says Cow Country Workshop Magic. And I don't know if anyone else likes it or not. I like it. I like when Susie uses the letters that have like a glitter to them. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, but these like sparkle. If you're outside wearing one of these hats in the sun, you're going to be blinding people. You might even cause some traffic accidents because they're really sparkly. They're really cool. You know, we've got let's see, did I already pull one out that's red? No. We've got a red one with black lettering. The magic, and see, all these are a little bit different, which is really cool. The magic of the Cow Country Workshop. The magic of the Cow Country Workshop. This one is the same. It's just in a gray color, the magic of the Cow Country Workshop. A white one with black lettering, the magic of the Cow Country Workshop again. Fabulous hats, fabulous. So let me set these to the side. I'm assuming that these are going to be similar, but they might be totally different. So I'll just quickly go through these as well so that the two new winners today can have their choice and can, you know, hopefully take good notes and say, oh, I want the one that says this and is this color, because it's kind of like when I was talking about picking winners by the reviews for Cow Country, and everyone's like, by the time I get to number 10, I can't remember what number 2 was. Well, that'll be like me with these hats. So be real specific if you're a winner in identifying the hat that Susie made that you want. Because if you just say, hey, the white one, I'll be like, okay, no idea what that means. No idea what that means. All right. So this pack over here, let's check these out real quick. And Susie said she actually enjoys doing this. It's relaxing to her. So, see, if I were trying to get all this lettering straight and everything, like when I'm doing a full restore on a sewing machine and I'm having to get the decals just pinpoint according to original factory standards, I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't be relaxing. I'd be like, ah. But if it helps Susie relax, God bless her. That's wonderful. So then we got this one, and this is going to be similar to the other ones, I think, as far as the design. We'll call this the traditional original design that Susie came up with. It says Cow Country Vintage Sewing Machines and Restoration. And this, again, is kind of a sparkly black on a red hat. And we've got the same thing in gray. And this one has like a really funky red sparkly lettering on it, kind of a gray. And here's some blue sparkly, really pretty, really pretty. I'm trying to remember, what did we send to Alex Askaroff in England? He sent me a picture. Actually, Yana took a picture of him napping with the hat on. It was a red hat, but I don't remember what the lettering looked like. Does anyone remember? Alex Saskroff over in England. That's his nap hat now that Susie made for him. So, but I know it was red. I don't remember the lettering. Now we've got a black one with white block lettering, really pretty. Another one of those, so you don't have to fight over them. Actually, three of them. Cool. Similar. Here's kind of a turquoise with that style lettering on it. White lettering, same color hat. And we got a bunch of the white hats with kind of a purple blue lettering. This is going to be similar right here and right here. Now we have kind of a silver lettering. This is kind of pizzazz. It's kind of a pizzazz look, isn't it? And red lettering. This one is the same way, the red lettering, which is really cool. More of a conservative, I guess. This is conservative compared to the glitter ones. Black lettering. It might have a little sparkle to it, but it's quite a bit more conservative. And then we've got this one as well. And finally, this one. So those are all the hats. If you're a winner, please don't ask me to go through them again. Please don't ask me to go, because he made a ton of hats. And she'll probably say, oh, it only took me about half an hour, 45. I bet you, how many hours do you think she spent making all of these hats? I didn't even count them. I did not even count all of them. And she just made a ton of hats. This is stack number 2. So there you go. Whoever the previous winner was, you have your choice first of any of those hats that you want. If you want to text it to me, if you want to post it in the live chat, and one of the leaders will text it to me, that's fine too. Kind of getting those hats balanced off camera there. And then if you're one of the new winners today that the leaders choose, then yeah, you can have your pick as well. So hold on a second. I'm just checking a message real quick. Someone's asking me about dropping a machine off today. I've already got two customers scheduled, so I'll have to see if it conflicts with those other appointments I already have. And Julie does not give a time. If you all will forgive me for a moment, kind of visit among yourselves. I'm just going to acknowledge Julie's message. She probably has no idea that we're live streaming, and that way she doesn't think like I'm blowing her off or ignoring her since she's looking to drop a machine off. And I'll use speech to text, so hopefully it gets some of my words right. It usually doesn't. Hey, Julie, live streaming right now, and it's okay for you to drop the machine off today, but it'll have to be after 1 p.m. Please let me know if that works for you. Okay, thanks everybody for indulging me in that. I'm really big on, I was raised in a family where manners, good manners are really important. So I even in the middle of a live stream, I don't want to ignore someone if they're looking for something that probably requires some planning. If they're driving a distance to come to the workshop and they want to know if it's going to work, then they have to plan for that. So I want them to know that that I'm listening. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Trying to see. Oops. Hope I just didn't delete something. Yeah, I was correct. I'm scrolling back through my text messages real quick, and I see that Teresa Henning was our winner from the last time. So hopefully Teresa will either let the leadership team know or share with me by text what hat she wants. That's the only thing holding me back. Then I'll mail those needles off to her Oh, and also if she'll let me know, if Teresa Henning will let me know whether she prefers size 90, 14, so 90, 90 size 14 needles, or size 100, 16 needles. And the same thing with the two new winners as well. If they can specify and let me know what size needle they want. And also, I'll need to know which needle those individuals won, whether they won the double eye needles or whether they won the super duper pooper scooper needles. And it looks like Susie just sent me a note. Alex from California and Jenny, our needle expert, is going to be able to try out some needles. And then, as our needle ambassador, is going to be able to step forward and say, I tried out those needles that Scott sent. Here's what my experience was. And we're not always looking for sunshine. There's some needles that we're simply not going to like that they work. Let me try that again. We're not going to like the way certain needles work for us. Maybe they'll work for somebody else, but we're not going to necessarily like them. So I'm not looking for sunshine and rainbows. When we send these needles out, uh, circle back with us and give us some honest feedback. Let us know what you thought of those needles, because Schmetz Needles is following us on Facebook and on YouTube. And that's direct feedback to the makers of the needles too, right? We want them to know what do those cow country people, what does that cow country family really love when it comes to our needles? What do they like less? I won't say dislike. I'll just say, what do we really love? What do we like less? So it'll be fun to know. And if Alex and Jenny, just as a refresh, will text me your mailing information. Let me know which pack of needles you won, what size needle you want, and it only applies to the super duper pooper scooper ones. The double eye needles, the only ones that I have are in size 8012, size 8012. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, nice. Okay. So they both guessed two of the four sizes of the new super universal needle is the contest that the leaders gave so that they could award those prizes to Alex and Jenny. Cool. Very. I hope all of you, if I'm way off track, and when we do live streams, all you want to do is right away go to the machine, no interaction, no interludes, no gift, prize giveaways or anything like that. Let the leadership team know that, and they'll give me that feedback directly, because I don't want to force anyone to accept a gift. And I'm being a little bit sarcastic right now because I think most people that I've met, they love to get something for free. They love to be identified as a winner. They love to get into the race, the hunt of tracking down an answer and then responding, under a little bit of pressure and being recognized for it. So I hope that's the case. But if I'm off track, if I'm wrong, and folks are like, dang it, he's doing another stupid giveaway. Ugh. Then let the leadership team know that, and they'll give me that feedback, and we will back off from giving things away like the Guggenheim scissors and other things like that. But I'm hoping you folks like that, and and let the leaders know what you think in the live stream, and then they'll pass that feedback along to me. So yeah, okay, all right. So again, the winners from today, I've already got Teresa's information. The winners from today, uh, let me know if you won the super universal ones, what size you want, and then just send me your information again so I don't have to scroll way up and find your address information and all that stuff again. And then Teresa, if you're in the live stream right now, if you would let one of the leadership team members know, or let me know directly, out of the hats, the huge plethora of hats that Susie just made, which is your first pick, and I'll go ahead and mail the hat and also the needles to you as well. And I think you won the super universal needles. So also, Teresa, let me know size 90 or size 100, and that way I'll get you the right thing. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm totally confused. All right, there we go. So let me move this back into play. Let's actually move towards this machine. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. And since the leaders uh, used a different track of questions to award the needles and the hats today, I'll give you the answers if unless someone typed it in the live chat. Let me scroll the live chat real quick and see if anyone got the answer. Where's this machine made that I've been bragging about? What size engine or motor does it have? Because I told you it's bigger than the 201-2. So let me see if anyone got that. And then we'll move forward with checking this machine out. All right. I'm going to scroll up again, too, so I can say good morning and not leave anyone out. I've already said hello to Susie and Alex and Candido. And I said hello. I did not say hello yet to California as well, just like Alex. Joel, guess what? I'm at the final steps of getting your 1222E done. 1222E. And if you don't know about Joel's situation, this was a major step for her family to send this FOF 1222E to the workshop. It was a big investment. I talked about that earlier. I talked about that earlier in the live stream, that when someone invests in sending something to the workshop, it's a big investment. And so Joel's and her family rallied around this project and helped contribute to it to get this FOF 1222E repaired and restored. And it's been a big project, a lot of stuff going on with that machine, but I'm down to the final steps now. And I'm hoping in the next week or so that I'll be able to get that live streamed, and then I'll be able to get it heading back to Joel out in California. And again, thank you always when someone gives me the opportunity and the privilege, the honor to have a machine that is so significant to a family in the workshop. It really is an honor to have that 1222E here, along with all the other machines that have been sent from around the country and around the world. It's a big, I don't take any of them for granted. And I truly feel blessed in the trust and confidence that any of those customers have shown in giving me the opportunity to work on what in fact is a family heirloom, a family treasure. So I wanted to acknowledge Joelle from California and let her know that the FOF 1222E is just about done, just about done. So that's great news, I know, for that family. All right, what else do we have? We have Jenny as well, part of our leadership team and also ambassador for Needles and also one of our winners today. Let's see. Also, good morning to Suzanne Coulter, who recently was in the workshop. And I've got to acknowledge her. This Diet Coke right there in the shot, almost in the shot. That Diet Coke right there is one of the Cokes left, one of the Diet Cokes left from the pack that Suzanne brought to the workshop when she came to join us with that recent live stream. If you didn't see that live stream, and if you want to meet Suzanne through that live stream, it's the Lotus 1000 that I presented. So you'll want to look up that recent live stream, get a chance to meet Suzanne, who soon is going to be moving to Florida to be closer to her family. So we're going to lose her in Wisconsin, but hopefully we don't lose her as part of our Cow Country family. Hopefully she continues to be involved with us as she looks at heading south in the coming weeks or months. But thank you again for the Diet Coke. I'm going to be hammering this today during the live stream. Trust me. I'm going to be hammering this during the live stream today. All right, let me go back over here. Let's see. Also, good morning. Good morning to Bill, which by screen name is Mesa Group. And Bill over in Minnesota, living, in the same state as Susie and a number of our other friends. He's also the recipient of one of Susie's hats, as is his daughter, Lisa. We haven't given a hat to their dog yet, but we're working on that. And that way, when they go out for a walk, Bill can wear a hat. His daughter, Lisa, I hope I'm getting that right. I'm going from memory. I believe his daughter's name was Lisa. They shared a beautiful photo of his lovely daughter wearing one of the cow country hats that Susie made. And then Bill also shared pictures of his beautiful dog as well. His dog, Treat. Does anyone remember Bill's dog's name? What is Bill's dog's name? But we got to get a hat for the dog as well. Susie, if you can work with Bill on that, let's see if we can get a hat over to Bill so all three of them, when they walk around Minnesota in their neck of the woods, they can be showing off their cow country pride. All right, who else do we have? Oh, good morning to Emma as well. Good morning to Emma from Florida, a dear friend, and great to have Emma here also. Also, good morning to Favored One. Good morning to Favored One. Great to have you here. I'm almost at the bottom. Almost at the bottom. Also, good morning to Kevin H. Kevin H. Great to have you here, Kevin. So I noticed, I think it was Jenny that said, what about Japan? The answer is no, it was not made in Japan, but the music I played at the beginning might have kind of thrown you off a little bit because that was Japanese music that I was playing at the beginning of the live stream today. If you were right at the beginning, you heard that music playing. And I love everything about the Orient. What a beautiful people from all over the Orient that are family. And hopefully whenever we some of those machines from Japan or other parts in that region of the world, they get a kick out of it, especially when I play some of the music that's traditional to their culture as well. So not Japan, not Japan. Yes, Nora, that's right. Nora is Bill and Lisa's dog. If you've never seen a picture of Nora, oh my goodness, gravy. What a gorgeous, gorgeous puppy. What a gorgeous puppy. So yeah, this is a cool looking machine, isn't it? I think I just got a text message. Let me just check it real quick and then we'll jump into this. I've got a barrage of activity in the workshop today. This customer is coming to pick up the machine. I joked about it at the beginning of the live stream. Showing up 12 o'clock sharp. Let there be no doubt about that. 12 o'clock sharp to get this machine back. So we better not go long. We better not go over, or she'll be kicking the door on the workshop. She literally will. All right, let me see who we have here. Oh, that's a message from Jenny, our ambassador to needles. And she said either size needle is fine. And she wants the turquoise with the cow country vintage. And then she gave me her address. If you don't know it, Jenny is from the great state. Jenny is from the great state of Ohio. Which, interestingly, does anyone know what the word Ohio means in Japanese? We were talking about Japanese a little bit ago. Does anyone know what the word Ohio means in Japanese? I love languages. All of you know that. I love cultures. When I eventually hang up my sewing restoration shingle, I'm going to be traveling the world, hopefully meeting a number of the people that followed my work during the years, getting a chance to meet them face to face, different states, different countries. I'm going to be all over the place. I'm going to have so many little stamps in my passport. It's going to be ridiculous. But does anyone know what Ohio means in Japanese? And if you want to Google it, that's okay. Go ahead and Google it. but it just came to mind because we just mentioned Japanese as the potential place that this machine came from, which it did not. I'll give you a longer phrase to Google. You can type in Ohio gozaimasu. Ohio gozaimasu. Don't ask me how to spell it. I can just say it. Ohio gozaimasu. Yeah, Emma's right. Emma's absolutely spot on. If you greet someone in a formal manner that's from the Japanese culture and it's morning time, you can say Ohio gozaimasu. So now you've learned something new in this live stream that you didn't expect to learn. So, at any rate, back to this machine. This machine was not made in Japan, not made in India. It was not made in the Philippines. It was made in Taiwan, and the motor or the engine size is zero point 0.9 amps, zero point 0.9 amps. So I talked about it having the same size motor or engine as Slant-O-Matic models, and that is the 401A. If you didn't know it, if you have a bunch of Slant-O-Matics in your collection and you didn't know that your 401A has the biggest motor out of any of those Slant-O-Matic machines made, starting back in 1951, then now the 401A has a 0.9 amp. The other ones have a 0.56, peaking at 0.6 amp motor. So it's a beast of a machine, the 401A. If you've got one, you know what I'm talking about. If it's running at the top of its game, but that motor is the same size motor that's in this machine. And again, it's bigger than a lot of the muscular machines that we're used to seeing on this channel. Not quite as big as some of the FOF models. The FOF models come with typically a 1.1, 1.3 amp motor, but it's a meaty motor on this machine, and it's not a chintzy motor either. It's built incredibly well. I looked at the wraps, I looked at the stators, the stack lamentations, and looked at every aspect of the aperture, how it's built, how it's designed, how it's put together. Excellent, excellent motor in this 6233. Excellent motor. Beautiful motor. So walk around the machine with me real quick, would you? Over here, we've got on-off switch. And yes, I did. If you saw it in some of the reels, I replaced the light on this machine and put in one of the LEDs. I actually had troubles with the light because I'll show you real quick. If you missed it on the reels or if you don't do Facebook, I actually had troubles with this light because it was dangling. It was dangling because part of the base had literally melted. Part of the base had literally melted. It's made from a real light alloy. And part of the crinkling on here is when I was trying to remove it from the socket very carefully, but it actually had softened and had loosened from around the base of the light right here. And it was literally, when I touched it, it was like wiggling like this. So I ended up finally being able to get it out of the socket. And then I ended up replacing it with one of the LED lights that you've seen me replace on a lot of the machines. But that's the problem with these incandescent bulbs is they get red hot. They get red hot. And if you've got a machine that doesn't have a metal faceplate like this 6233, let's say you have a plastic faceplate on a machine that has one of these in it, they can generate so much heat they can actually warp or deform that faceplate so that it starts to like pull away from the machine. It doesn't set on there flush any longer. I mean, these put out, if you're skeptical about what I'm saying, and you've got one of these in one of your machines, turn it on, leave it on for about an hour or less, and then use a heat type gun to check the temperature on it. You're going to be shocked how hot these get. They get hotter than a lot of the soldering irons. They generate that much heat. So I held on to this just to show it to the owner so she could appreciate, these can also be a little bit dangerous, can't they? They can be a little bit dangerous because they get so hot, they can actually cause damage and warping to parts of the machine. And yeah, just other junk I found inside of the machine. This was jammed. I showed this to you in one of the reels on Facebook. This huge clump of material was jammed, actually restricting the needle bar moving up and down. So it's amazing what you find. And this was one of those machines. I shared this on Facebook This 6233, which looks almost like it's brand new after Workshop Magic, it was incredibly filthy, and it had just gone a short time ago through a full service at a sew and vac. They did a crummy job. I'm just going to say it, and I'm not going to name who they are, but they did a horrible job. And then also, you know this, I think most of you know this, but when a machine comes in, I don't just take care of the mechanics, the electrical, and the deep cleaning. I also clean the outside of the machine as well. Because my belief is right or wrong, my belief is if a sewist sits down to a machine and they have a sense of pride, they have a sense of joy. They sit down to a machine and it just looks beautiful to them. They're like, hey, gorgeous. You know, you almost feel like talking to your sewing machine when you sit down and saying, hey, gorgeous. Hey, babe, you look great today. You know, if you feel that way about your sewing machines, you're going to have a greater level of enjoyment in using them. You know what I mean? They talk about that we eat with our eyes. You've heard that about restaurants. You know, present the plate beautifully because people eat with their eyes. People also sew with their eyes, and they get that joy and that delight from sitting down to a beautiful sewing machine. And just before they even start up that machine, they're already like, oh, wow. Hey, baby. Hey, gorgeous. Because they're in love with that machine. They are. And that's the way I want Holly to feel. When Holly picks up this machine around noon today, I shouldn't say around noon. When Holly picks up this machine at 12 sharp today, I want her to just look at this machine again for the first time and go, oh my goodness, wow. Is that the same machine? She's gorgeous. I want people to be excited, don't you? Don't you want to be excited when you sit down to one of your sewing machines and just go, whoa, hey, gorgeous. You know, I can't whistle. I'm trying to whistle right now. I'm giving it a go. Wait. Well, let me wet my lips here. All right. I'm failing at whistling. Someone else whistle for me. My whistler is broken today. My whistler is not working. So yeah. Any rate, yeah, it's just the whole package, right? The whole package. It should be a total, as Emma has said, as Susie has said, and others, Candido, it gets a full spa day, inside and out. So, any rate, full spa day, brand new light now, no dangling wires, no, hey, let's burn the house down, let's get electrocuted. Hey, we got a safe light in there now. And this is a metal case, by the way, around the light here. So, if this gets warm from an old style bulb like this one, it's not going to warp. It's not going to warp. It's not going to get to that temperature. But it's like I said, it's a beautiful machine, metal almost throughout. So on off switch right here. Reverse, just push it in, let it go when you're done. Holly's going to be really excited to see this. When the machine came in, there was no control on here. There was just the metal stem sticking out. And even when I pushed on it with my finger, it hurt. It hurt. It kind of presses into your finger and it just wasn't comfortable. And I thought, that's not a good thing. So I was able to steal this off of one of the other parts machines. I took my drill and I ground out the inside of it. And then I was able to get it to fit on here nice and tight. So now it moves beautifully without having to get your finger all cut up from that metal. It was just nasty. It was awful. This over here is our stitch selector. It's going to give us the opportunity to choose the stitch that we want to sew. I'll show you the stitches in just a little bit because I want you all that are in the audience right now to pick the stitches, with the exception of buttonholes. I'm not doing any buttonholes, so don't even go down that rabbit hole. But I'll give you a choice of the other stitches that we're going to sew, and I'll show you the materials that I have pre-cut already as well. But this is our stitch selector right here. And then this is our fine tuner. If you can see that right here, if you do one of these stitches up here and it doesn't quite present the way that you want it to look, you can adjust this either way to change the look and the presentation of that stitch. It will actually tweak the stitch. It's a fine tuner. So this little dial on the inside, that's what that does. And then again, this is the stitch selector here on the outside. You'll notice right away when you look at this machine, it doesn't have a stitch width control. There's no stitch width control because all of the stitches are going to be preset with a stitch width. The only discretion you're going to have is to decide how long you want those stitch patterns. And that's where you can control this down here. But otherwise, no stitch width to deal with, no stitch width to be concerned about per se. But there is another control on this machine that's the equivalent of stitch width right over here. This is going to be actually a stretch control, but it's also going to give you control over the presentation of the stitches as far as their width. It's not a traditional width control. It's designed more for the stretch stitches, but you can use it as a stitch width control as well, and then move it down to straight when you're only straight stitching. And these are our stitches right over here, including the buttonholes that you can do. There's a 3-stage buttonhole, and then you've got a straight, you've got a zigzag, you've got a blind hem, you've got a 3-point zigzag. I believe that this is going to be a stretch blind hem, number 9. Then you've got this one right here. I think we called this a crescent stitch the last time. Number 10 is a crescent style stitch or an eyebrow stitch or whatever you want to call it. Then we've got this cool stitch right here. No idea what we came up with a name for. I think we sewed a stitch similar to this on the other machine the other day, and I think we came up with some different names for that one. Then we've got this one, which is kind of a bird foot stitch. We've got this. These are all stretch stitches over here, 11, 12, 13, 14. And we'll be doing any of these that you want to try today. We'll be doing any of these stitches. So those are our stitch selections. Not a huge number, but we've got quite a few that we can pick from as we go across checking out this 6233. So make note of those stitch numbers, and then you can type them into the live chat. Once I show you the material, if you want to pick the material to go with your stitch, you can do that. We'll try that out. Also, when you're sewing a bobbin, I got to move this machine over a little bit because I've got the short cord on the camera today. When you're doing a bobbin wind, it's got the plunger style. I'm still not close enough. Hold on. It's got the plunger style clutch release on the side of the machine right here. So if you want the clutch taken out, you push this in. When you want to re-engage the clutch, you push it back that way. So there's nothing to turn. It's just a simple push button to disengage the clutch and to re-engage the clutch. Also, as far as it connecting right over here, I didn't say it yet, but this 6233 is a pneumatic operated machine. Does anyone want to share in the live stream chat? What do I mean when I say pneumatic? What is pneumatic controlled? And someone other than Emma. Emma's always right on it as far as wanting to answer a question. But let's let someone else jump in. Someone other than Emma. Someone jump in, and if you want to Google it, that's fine. But describe to the audience a little bit, what is pneumatic? What does that mean as far as how this machine operates compared to another type of sewing machine that's going to be set up differently? Yeah. What else can I show you? This is also going to have, they call it auto tension right here. So supposedly you don't have to adjust the tension. I don't think that that's true, to be honest with you. As I was doing different sew-offs like these over here on 100% cotton, I had to adjust a little bit to get the right stitch presentation, the right stitch output. But I think they're just trying to sell the idea that the machine is easy to operate. It's user friendly, so that's why they put right on the front of here in bold letters, auto tension. Well, if it were auto tension, truly auto tension, then you wouldn't even need this part of the control up here, would you? It would just automatically adjust the tension no matter where this is positioned, right? So they recognize that depending on the materials you're sewing, the thickness, the consistency of the material, like some of that nasty spandex denim that we probably will sew today again. You might have to make some fine-tune adjustments. And if you're brand new to sewing, know that this upper tension unit here is going to make or break your lock stitch. This is going to be the unit up here that's pulling up to define the lock stitch on the bottom of this material. Without this unit up here, you're going to have bird nesting galore. And then it has to work cooperatively with the bobbin that's down here so that it can pull that stitch and get that knot centered in that material as well as it possibly can. So this is pulling down to define the top stitch. This is pulling up to define the lock stitch. They're pulling back and forth against each other constantly. And the other thing you'll notice right away, does anyone recognize the bobbin? Let me shut the light off. Does anyone recognize the bobbin that's in this Singer 6233? You've seen these bobbins quite a bit on this channel. Does anyone recognize that bobbin? It's not a class. That's a great guess, Susie, but it's not a class 15. It's not a class 15. Let me set the camera down for just a second. And grab a class 15 so you can see the difference. So this, I'll put a class 15 right next to it practically. This would be a class 15 right here. This is a class 15. This is another class bobbin right here. I'll tell you one thing, this bobbin is used a lot in a wide scope of Singer sewing machines. It's also used in the 201-2. It's also used in the Singer 99, the Singer 99K. So I'll look at the live chat, see if anyone nailed it. But this originally in the machine was this plastic one right here. You can still see the black thread that Holly had that she was operating the machine with. The problem with these plastic ones is over time, from taking them in and out and just handling them, they get rough edges. They get even chips or little parts of the plastic will come off. And then all of a sudden, when they're spinning up in the machine, they create problems for you. So what I did for Holly, because I want to give her the best experience that she can have with this 6233, is I substituted. I'm going to give her back her plastic one, but I'm going to encourage her not to use this plastic one. I'm going to encourage her not to use it, and I'm going to give her a metal one here, and then I've got another one over here already pre-wound for her as well. Some machines like plastic, but I found that this 6233, it was really, really wanting to use a metal bobbin all along. And it's been struggling partly because, these bobbins get damaged. The metal ones are pretty bulletproof. They're pretty bulletproof. So I'll give the one that's in the machine, which I pulled out of my collection, and I'll give Holly this extra one. And then she can always order additional metal ones. Like I've said before, just be careful if you order aftermarket bobbins like these because they will have slight variances in how they're engineered. They're not made to spec. They might be a thousandth of an inch too narrow or a thousandth of an inch too high or more, and then they'll create challenges for you in your machine. So go with vintage if you can go with vintage. Go with original if you can go with original. Yeah, Kevin, and Emma. Kevin and Emma are spot on. It's a class 66. It's a class 66 bobbin. And most of you know that there were two different, well, probably more than two, but two primary different versions made of the class 66 bobbins. The ones that Bill O'Rourke uses down in Kissimmee, Florida, are going to be a little bit different than this. Instead of having the four holes, the ones that Bill uses on his very, very old 66-1 treadle machine is only going to have one hole. And that was the one of the very earliest Class 66 bobbins. So if you got it like a little bag full of Class 66 bobbins, and some of them have four holes, some of them have one hole, the one hole ones are going to be the earliest version of the metal Class 66 bobbins. They're going to be the ones that, in all likelihood, would be in the very early 1900 model Singer sewing machines, like Bill operates down in Kissimmee, Florida. So just understand the difference between them. Can you use them both interchangeably in a machine like this? Absolutely, you can. But just be aware of the difference. So if you come across some, you can share your knowledge with someone else and say, "Oh, those are the earlier Class 66 bobbins. They only have one hole in them." So yeah, other than that, they're going to be very, very close in everything else. And I'll do it really quick, just as a service, in case you do buy aftermarket ones. I'll give you the specific measurements real fast, so you've got that. So the height when it's sitting in a machine like this is going to be right around 11 millimeters. 11 millimeters in height, according to my caliper. 11 millimeters. And as far as the width, if we measure it like this, try to get it in there nice and square. My eyes are a little bit blurry today. It must be the all the pollen and stuff. 21 millimeters. 21 millimeters. So 21 as far as the width, and the height, if it's sitting in the machine like this, is going to be right around 11 millimeters. And the other factor is you need to know about the opening too on the hole. The hole opening on here is going to be, see, 7 millimeters. So the hole opening right there is going to be 7 millimeters. So, just compare that. If you buy aftermarket ones, you can pick up a mechanical caliper or a fancier caliper than this, and you can measure your bobbins and compare them. And then you can educate your friends and fellow sewists and say, yeah, Scott's really right. I bought some aftermarket Class 15s, and they're like 2 thousandths of an inch off, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about the space of a raceway, it can totally throw off how that bobbin interacts with your machine. So just be aware of that and set yourself up for success. Whenever you can go original, but even original ones, depending on how they've been handled, always check your bobbins, run your finger over them, and check for those edges to see if you feel any roughness. If you do, grab some sandpaper, probably 1,000 grit or higher, and just gently rub over those edges like this to get those little burrs and rough spots off of your bobbins. It's critical that they spin freely and without any drag or resistance or any interruption in the sewing process to get the job done properly. Okay, let's get this fired up. Oh, the last thing I didn't talk about specifically is we're talking about the raceway, we're talking about the bobbin, etc. When this bobbin goes in, the thread is going to be over the top of the bobbin as you're dropping it in. So it's going to be like this. The thread's going to be over the top like this, and then you're going to drop it in, and you have to draw it through the tension band like this by pulling it to the rear of the machine. If it doesn't go underneath the tension band, your top stitches are going to be nightmarish. They're going to be scary because this is going to control your top stitch. So again, just kind of put it in like this with the thread over the top, draw it through that little slat, which is right about here on the bobbin case, right about there in that spot right there. If you can see that as I'm showing it to you, it'd be right about there, the opening. And just draw it through those tension discs. And this is a little bit more of a difficult design to make adjustments. Many of the Singer machines, you can draw this cover plate back, and you can get a small little screwdriver in there and make adjustments to the bobbin case. This one is nearly impossible to do that. You might have to take off the feed dog cover and then actually remove the hook and hold it in your hand. The hook and the bobbin are in the same area. Take it out and then make those adjustments and then reinsert it again when you get it back into place. And you'll want to make sure there's a little finger. I'll just show it to you real quick. There's a little finger. You can see it in the shot. There's a little finger right here that I'm pointing at. See if I can get to it, maybe around the back. There's a little finger right there that rotates out when you're removing the bobbin case. And then you have to make sure when you put that bobbin case back in that you rotate this little finger right there. It's like a little finger tab. Rotate that finger back out because it's going to hold that in place when the machine is operating. If you forget to rotate that back in, you could damage the raceway very quickly. So hopefully you can see that little finger thing. Yeah, I think you can. Okay. Oh, I didn't finish what I was doing. Duh, I get so distracted. Okay. So with the thread coming over the top when you insert it, when I pull this, the bobbin is going to be turning counterclockwise. So that's the easiest check if you're setting this machine up to sew. You don't even have to remember anything that I've said. Just know that as you pull the thread, it's going to be turning counterclockwise, like you can see right now. Okay. All right, let's do something with this machine. Let's do something with this machine that belongs to Holly. So I've shown you the stitches. I'll show you the stitches again real quick. Straight stitch number 5, zigzag, blind hem, kind of looks like a blind hem to me, this one here, number 7. 3-point zigzag, number 8. Looks like maybe a stretch blind hem, number 9, number 10. And then we get into the tri-motion stretch stitches, number 11, 12, 13, and 14. And when you get to 13 and 14, you'll notice that they share the same spot on the stitch pattern controller. All we have to do is we have to take it out of the stretch width mode over here and move it over to a straight stitch to get that, where is it? To get that stretch straight stitch, which is number 14. It's going to be that stitch right there. So we're sharing the same control, 13 and 14. We access this one by moving the stretch width controller somewhere between 1 and 3, and we access this one by moving that controller over to straight stitch. So this is going to be basically at 0. This is going to be between 1 and 3, but it's only one position on the dial. You can see that right there. It's only one position. I think you can see that almost. Yep, there it is. Okay, so now the materials that I have set up. The materials that I have set up for us to sew today, I've got 2 different colors. Kind of like Susie's hats. There's all kinds of colors and fun designs and new designs as well. So I've got kind of a turquoise color. I think that's kind of a turquoise. And then I've got this more of a, what color would you call this? Is this, what color is this? Is this burgundy? No idea. But at any rate, I've got this color. I've got that color. It's 100% cotton. And then I've got a stiffener in there because we might be sewing some of those tri-motion stretch stitches on this cotton, and we wouldn't get a great outcome if we were using just the material without a stiffener. So I've got that in there. Then I've got some of this bubblegum material. You kind of see why we call it bubblegum material. And I've got some saddle grade leather. And I've got some of this spandex, nasty, are you kidding me? We're going to do this again? Some of this nasty spandex denim that is really a heck of a thing to try to get through. It truly is. The best success I've had with this, and I presented it through some reels on Facebook, is using a denim needle. Denim needles are ultra sharp, ultra sharp. And also the eye on those is going to be a little bit smaller than a universal needle. And that's why they generally have more success dealing with something like this. But we're going to try using this leather needle, size 110, sewing spandex today. I have no idea what's going to happen. We might have success, we might have failure. But we have the spandex denim as well. Then I've got some of this protected full grain leather, this blue stuff. I've got more of a traditional denim, although I still think there might be a little bit of spandex maybe in here, but it certainly is more traditional than that other stuff. Then I've got a strength test for the machine. I've got 2 layers of saddle grade leather. We're going to be doing this on the live stream today, especially since we have a harpoon style leather needle. Why not? So we'll be going through this. And then I've also got 2 layers of protected full grain leather as well. So we'll be doing some heavy duty sewing on that. And then finally, I've got for the light sew off, I've got some of this velvet again that I've shown you a couple of times in recent live streams. So we have I think a fairly wide field. We've got velvet, we've got protected full grain leather, we've got saddle grade leather, we've got more traditional denim, more protected full grain leather, spandex denim, more saddle grade leather, bubblegum material, and then 2 different types of 100% cotton. 2 different types of 100% cotton. So I'll look at the live chat, just see if there's any initial input as far as what you'd like to see us start with. And then we'll get this rolling. I'm going to try to be a little bit organized and get all my leather together. Get my protected, my saddle, get that there, cotton over there, denim over here, and bubblegum and velvet over there. So that's our field of sew-offs potentially right there. From bubblegum, spandex denim, 100% cotton, saddle grade leather, protected full grain leather, and then finally velvet right there. So hopefully that's a fairly good scope to give this 6233 a fair chance to show its greatness in this live stream. Oh, hello to Sarah as well. Sarah Wimmers. So Emma typed, I'm going to write these down. See if I can scroll up a little bit and write these down. Let's see here. Let's see. Sarah Wimmers wrote that the pollen is getting. It's good that I'm not alone. Because I've been battling it. Not as far as having difficulty breathing, but just my eyes being irritated by the change of seasons in that. And I don't take any of those over the counter things or anything like that. I kind of quietly suffer through it. Okay, what we have here. All right, let me know if there's anyone else that wants to see any specific stitches. I see that Emma typed stitch number 8 and stitch 13. Emma typed stitch and I don't know if she has a specific material that she'd like me to try those stitches on or not. Let me know, Emma, if there's a specific material you'd like to see Holly's machine sew stitch 8 and stitch 13 on. I'm going to set my little pad right over there. Okay, I don't see anybody else. Let's see. So let me ask the audience again. If there's Emma already picked stitch number 8. These are the stitches on this 6233. Emma picked stitch number 8 and stitch number 13. Stitch number 8, stitch number 13. So if anyone else wants to pick another stitch between 5 and 14, with the exception of 8 and 13, so stitch 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 14, I believe it would be. Let me know what stitch you like to see and what material you'd like me to try to sew it on. Again, on the tri-motion stretch stitches, I probably would be inclined to do a single layer of leather if I'm doing one of the tri-motion stitches, even with a harpoon needle. But these are our materials again. We've got velvet, protected full grain leather, saddle grade leather, 100% cotton, spandex denim, and then more of a regular denim. This is the spandex. That's the regular, sort of regular. And then the bubblegum material. So that's our field of potential sew-offs right there that we can run this 6233 through and see how it does. So I'll look at the live chat one last time. If there's no input, that's okay. Then I'll just go ahead once I do Emma's stitches, stitch number 8 and stitch 13, then I'll just move on through some of the other stitches at my discretion and try those out as well. Oh, Emma said teal blue cotton. Thank you for giving it a color, because most of you know I'm not a color person unless it comes to cars. I'm pretty good with colors on cars. So we're going to do the teal blue, and we'll lay down both of Emma's stitches on the teal blue 100% cotton. Candido is saying, let's see here. Sarah is saying Sarah is number 10. Sarah is number 10. And Susie is asking for number 12. It looks like Candido also wanted 10 as well. Candido also wanted 10 as well. So maybe we'll sew it twice and we'll just mess around with the stitch width as far as the stretch out. So Sarah and Candido also are both interested in, let's see here. On Susie is wanting to see number 12. Okay, so anyone, if one of the members can I'm getting hammered on Facebook right now. I read that message earlier from Julie that wants to bring a machine by the workshop, and she's sending me some follow-up messages right now. I'm going to hold off on responding to those. But this is what I have. If I missed anyone, please let me know that. I've got Emma with stitch 813 on the whatever color she said it was. I think she said teal green or something like that. Then I've got Sarah with stitch number 10. I've got Candido with stitch number 10. And then I have Susie with stitch number 12. And again, if Susie, Candido, or Sarah want to tell me what do you want to see that stitch sewn on, what material, then let me know that, and I can go ahead and honor that request. Again, the materials I have are velvet, protected full grain leather, saddle grade leather. I've got this other color, 100% cotton, spandex denim, regular denim, bubblegum material, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think I covered all of them. All right, I'm getting text bombed here. Text bombed. Oh! Text bomb. Oh, this is from the this is a text from the owner. Hold on a second. Oh, I had asked Holly this morning if she remembered when she bought this machine and if she bought it new, because I remember from our conversation, and she did buy this machine. She bought this 6233 new, and she thinks she bought it in the late. Um, I don't think that this is correct, but I never want to. What do they say? The customer was right. The customer's always right. So, but Holly is saying late 1980s, early 1990s. I think it was probably earlier than that. But maybe who knows? Maybe it was a holdover machine that had been produced earlier and had not been sold. I don't know, but yeah, I'll just tell her she doesn't have to look it up. Thanks, Holly, comma, no need to look it up. I'm actually doing the live stream on your machine as we speak. Period. See you in about an hour. Period. That's kind of semi-terrifying. I just looked at my watch. And I all of a sudden realized we have only less than an hour to wrap up this live stream because I got to be done by the time she gets here at noon Central Time. So I better stop dilly-dallying and lollygagging and get to it, or we're going to run out of time real quick. So, okay, let me see if Susie or Candido or Sarah have any preference as far as what we sew it on. Then I'm gonna march us forward here. I'm gonna march us forward. Sarah said you choose. Alex said you choose. Connection issues. It sounds like everyone's having connection issues. I didn't live stream on my phone, but maybe I should do that just to make sure we're not having any technical difficulties. These may be regional issues for all of you. I have no idea. Just just trying to open up the live stream real quick on my phone. After I get done with this commercial.
With the impact of my business and income, my retirement gets pushed by
only about 6 months.
not years.
Okay, volume down. So right now I'm hearing, let me see my echo here. Hello, hello.
Right now I'm hearing, let me see my echo here. Hello, hello. Right now I'm hearing, let me see my echo here. Hello, right now I'm hearing, let me see my echo here.
That's so annoying. Right now I'm getting good audio on my end. So I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully we're not being hacked as a nation or something like that. That would be horrible. So I'm going to keep marching forward. We'll start with Emma's. And then we'll move on to Sarah and Candido's stitches as well. And again, the owner, Holly, is going to be here starting at noon. So I better get this done. And again, we're sewing right now 100% cotton with a stiffener. Normally, the average sewist is not going to be sewing 100% cotton using a size 18 Schmetz leather needle. They're not going to be doing it, but we're going to try it. See what kind of stitch quality we get sewing with a harpoon needle designed for leather. And yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll see if we have a good result, a bad result, or something in between. And I'm going to offset this a little bit because any of these stretch style stitches are going to have that tri motion. And you saw that on the last live stream. If I move the material too close, the presser foot too close to the top of the material, there's no room for the machine to pull it back, and then we'll have problems. So I've offset it just a little bit for Emma's stitch number 8 and stitch number 13. So let's get this set up. Stitch number 8. Again, it's going to be our 3-point zigzag. So I've got to turn our stitch selector to number 8. Our stitch selector is now on 8. We're not going to do anything with a fine tuner. The stitch length, we're going to take down quite a ways. We'll take it all the way down to 1, a little bit below 1. So that's where we'll put our stitch length. And then we have to adjust this so we get something other than a straight stitch. I'll move this probably right over to there, right about there. There we go. So we should be all set. We set this boundary so we're not getting a straight only stitch. We set our stitch selector. We set our stitch length. And we're going to be going again for this 3-point zigzag. And the 3-point zigzag, now that I'm getting my mind clear a little bit, is not a tri-motion stitch. So we can get a little bit closer to the action. Let's see if I can adjust this down. We can get a little bit closer to the action and also reset this material so that it's closer to the edge. Because this is going to advance the material. It's not going to be manipulating the material like we've seen before. All right, so stitch number 8, again, we're using a pneumatic foot controller and a pneumatic drive system. You can't really see it, but inside of here, there's a little bulb, a rubber ball, if you will. And as I push the foot controller down, it's going to compress that little balloon almost. There's like a little balloon in there, and then it's going to push that air down this hose. And depending on the rate and volume of air, it's going to tell this machine how fast to sew. That's basically how pneumatic works. Looks almost like electronic, and it's labeled electronic, but it really truly isn't. It's pneumatic. Okay. All right, let's give this 3-point zigzag a go. See what we think. All right, here we go. I don't know what you can hear on your end, but this is a sweet, smooth running machine. Truly, truly is. Really quite spectacular. And I'm seeing a good balance on stitching, but I'm going to make a quick little adjustment just looking at this, where we're getting a little bit better definition on the bottom. So I'm going to just slightly reduce our upper tension. Hopefully I don't go too far with it. And then we'll take a look at this. Yeah, I'll tell you what, because of our time being so tight, with the owner showing up at 12 o'clock noon, which is less than an hour from now, I'm going to go ahead and do both of Emma's stitches, and then I'll show both of them to you at the same time. So let me give this a quick clip. We'll get this back underneath the presser foot, and we'll do this next stitch for Emma as well. I'm actually impressed with the clarity of this stitch, considering that we're sewing with a size 18 leather needle. Size 18 leather needle on 100% cotton. It's kind of crazy. Crazy's my middle name. No, it isn't. It's Alan. It's Alan, you silly guy. Okay, so now we're going to do stitch 13 for Emma. Stitch 13 is this kind of a stretch zigzag is really what it is. A lot of overlay on there. We'll see how well this size 18 leather needle handles that. The overlay that this particular stitch 13 needs is really a much finer needle, probably more like a 7511 would work ideally for this. So we'll see if we get a muddy stitch. Hopefully we don't. We'll see what the clarity of that stitch is. So now we need to go to 13. Oh, I have to go back the other way. And again, 13 and 14 are going to be a shared space on this stitch dial. Hopefully you can see that in the shot. Let's see, maybe like that. It's kind of dark right there. Maybe it's the coloring. There it is. Got a little light on there. So that's a shared space. Let's see now. Now we have to go to a default. When you're doing these stretch tri-motion stitches, it's going to force you to put a default as far as the stitch length. You're going to have to move it all the way over to 4 on the stitch length. You see what I just did? I moved it all the way over to here. You can see that little red mark right above there. It kind of cues you to the fact that you've got to set it within that range for the stitch length. I'm going to give it enough room to move, so I'm going to bump this stretch setting up just a little bit higher, almost to max. Move it almost all the way up to max. Yeah, it should be pretty good right about there, I think. So we've got our stretch stitch setting at the max setting. We got our stitch selector on 13, 14, and then we've got our stitch length down here on 4, which is marked by the red to tell us that we're going to be doing one of these stretch tri-motion stitches. Specifically for Emma, we're going to be doing number 13. All right, so let's give this a go, see what we think. Let's give this a go and see what we think. All right, one final check on my settings. They all look good. I think we're good to go. All right, let's do this stitch for Emma now. Here we go. All right, now we'll have a chance to finally look at these 2 stitches that we just did for Emma. And again, our setup is not ideal for what we're doing right now, at least. For these stretch decorative type stitches, are ideally we should be using a much smaller needle than we are, but I think, yeah, we'll give it a try, see what we think, see how it turned out. Okay, so these are both of Emma's stitches. Let's check these out. This is going to be, I'm just double checking, this is going to be our top stitching. This is our top stitching. I'm really impressed. I don't know about you, but I'm impressed that we're looking at some page 34, if not page 34 plus stitching. Executed it with a size 18 leather needle by Schmetz, a size 18 leather needle. That's pretty doggone impressive. Couple little spots right about there where the thread is not as tight as we'd want to see it, but that could be a fine adjustment also on the upper tension. We might have to back that upper tension off just a little bit to get a little bit more pull down. I'll tell you one thing. I'm very happy. I'm very happy considering our setup. It would be even better if we had a 7511 embroidery style needle in there, or even a universal size 90 needle, maybe in one of the super duper pooper scooper needles. Smaller scale needle would give us greater clarity of that stitch. So really a nice outcome, a very nice outcome by this Singer 62 33. Uh, Beautiful, beautiful job. That's our top stitch. Lock stitch. Locks, the lock, the lock stitch is going to be even better because our tension was a little bit heavier pulling that thread up. We should have given some of that back to the top stitch, but we didn't. So our lock stitch should be absolutely bang on. Very, very nice looking. Get closer. Little bit of a thing right there. That's probably where I launched into it. I launched into it and we had a little bit of anomaly right there. But all in all, for such a gargantuan needle, it really is doing some very fine work with a complex stretch overlay stitch like this one that Emma picked. It really is doing a super duper job. That's our lock stitch again. I'll kind of stop right there. And our top stitch. So I am really, really pleased knowing that our setup is so much not ideal. To get an outcome like that really is quite exceptional. Quite exceptional. Okay, now we've got Sarah's stitch number 10, and I think she said, do whatever I want to do. I think she said, do what I want to do. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. So I'm going to do it, I think. What stitch is that? Number 10. I'm going to do the stitch on leather. We got a leather needle. We got a gargantuan leather needle, size 18. We might as well do leather for Sarah Wimmer's stitch. So let's do that. Get this in. Actually, you know what? Let me use this other piece. It's a little bit longer. This is kind of a stubby piece. Matter of fact, let me do this on top of that. Let me do this. No, I can still piece two of these together for a double thickness sew off. I can still piece two together. All right, let me get that back into place. Presser foot is down. And I'm not a huge fan of these snap-on type feet because they swivel quite a bit. They wiggle from side to side. They certainly, once the pressure is down there, they stay pretty straight and true. But that swivel kind of is something I don't like about the snap-on style ones where they kind of have that little wiggle to them. Okay, so now let's go to stitch 10. Go back this way. And I say it all the time, make sure that as you're changing that you've got your needle out of the material. You'll notice that the needle is moving as I'm changing different positions on the stitch selector. So we're set on stitch number 10. And let's see, that is an eyebrow stitch. It looks like the eyebrow stitch, I believe. So we're going to reduce our stitch length now out of the stretch region all the way down to here. Just a little bit below 1, kind of in that area right there. And we'll probably reduce this as well, just a little bit more. Really is going to benefit us most with the stretch stitches, but we'll bring it to right about there, kind of in the middle between 2 and 3. Yeah. All right, let's give this a go. See what we think of this one. All right, this is for Sarah. This is Sarah's stitch. Sarah Wimmers. Here we go. I forgot to adjust the camera so you could get down there by the action. I know that's a lot more fun when we do it that way. And on Sarah's stitch, I could have gone even shorter on it to give greater clarity to that stitch. It's pretty good, but it could be better than it is, as always. Matter of fact, if you'll humor me real quick, let's do it one more time, and I'm going to shorten that stitch even more. So I'm going to take my stitch length and bring it down even a little bit further. Also going to adjust this a little bit more narrow. Let's sew it one more time and see what we get this time. Stop real quick and come over here. Well, rule number one, when you're sewing, don't look over your shoulder at the laptop. I kind of went off course a little bit there, but that's okay. That's okay. Not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, it gives it a little bit different look. So it just kind of gives you a vision of, if you have discretion, other than on some of the targeted tri-motion stitches on this 6233, you can mess around with that stretch width indicator and with that stitch length and get a different look to the stitches. Not dramatically different, but a little bit different. Let's look at Sarah's stitches on this protected full grain leather. Could have gone even a little bit shorter. I didn't want to go crazy, but we could have even made that tighter. Give that greater clarity. Well, you see how we took Sarah's stitch and we kind of changed the look of it just slightly. Just slightly, we changed the look of it. Lock stitch. Try to hold it like this on an angle so you can see that stitching. It kind of gets, even though this is a fairly flat nap on this protected full grain leather, it does mask the stitching a little bit. So this is our lock stitch. I'm kind of holding the leather on an angle so you can see it a little bit more easily. There it is. Let's try it like this. There we go. They kind of look like waves, don't they? I don't know if we ever called this a wave stitch or not, but it kind of looks like waves on an ocean or on a big lake or something like that, doesn't it? You can do a lot of fun things with this stitch. And again, you can make it your own. You can make it wider. You can make it longer. It's up to you. You change the look of it. But again, not a thin layer of leather. If I kind of hold it like this, if I can hold it like that, if the camera will. Yeah, it's probably about 3 or 4 millimeters thick, something like that. And then Candido had the same stitch. Candido had the same stitch. He had picked number 10, just like Sarah. So I'm going to resew it one last time, but instead of doing it on protected full grain, this time I'll do it on a totally different material. Maybe we can do it on something kind of tricky like bubblegum material. We could do it on some of this bubblegum material. I'm just going to cut this down a little bit because it's way too big. And we'll lay down Candido stitch on bubblegum material. I'm going to be a little bit courageous, and instead of going through a single layer of this stuff, and again, bubblegum is super stretchy. You can see that. I don't know if it has spikes, if it has vinyl, it's got something in there that's giving it the stretch factor. And whenever you have a material like that, it's going to be really prone towards skipping stitches. So hopefully we don't have that issue today with this bubblegum material as we do Candido stitch. Let me get that underneath there. We might use some of my little clips to hold this in place. And I've got to acknowledge Paula Noel. Paula Noel sent these to the workshop as a resource to me, and I'm grateful, very grateful for them. These tiny little clips, because I was using something like this, which seemed like it was kind of crazy big. All right, one more clip. And I actually put them all the same way this time today. That's kind of cool. All right, so let's do this one. We're going to be doing Candidos, but we're going to do it very different to give a different look to the same stitch. We were fairly wide. We were even wider than we went more narrow. Now we're going to go ridiculously narrow. Move it right over to there. Move it right about to there. And then we're going to measure the stitch length down here. We were fairly super short before. Now we're going to stretch it out a little bit. So we're going with really narrow and long to give it a different look. Let's go right about, I'll go to about 1.5, just below 2 on the stitch length. And we'll see how we can manipulate this stitch that Sarah and Candido picked out. Stitch number 10, the crescent or eyebrow stitch. And we'll see how we can change the look of it by manipulating stitch width and stitch length. And again, this is 2 layers of bubblegum material. Let's see how we do on this. Well, that didn't give us much of anything. I made it way too long. See that? You goof around with things, and sometimes you get a really cool outcome. Sometimes you get a weird outcome. That didn't give us much of anything on there, did it? That didn't give us much of anything. But part of it is, I'm looking at this stitching on here. I'll pull that thread a little bit so you can look at it with me. This stitch on the top stitch right now is underdefined. It's very, very underdefined, which means our upper tension is being a bully and it's not allowing that bobbin case to pull down to define this. So we need to correct that straight away before we sew it one more time for Candido. We got to bump this away a little bit and bring it up. I'm going to bring it right about up to there. We pushed it up a little ways away from the auto setting. And then we got to do something else with that stitch width is just not working for us. I thought I'd try it down here, but it's not giving us much of anything. So we're going to go to the opposite extreme. Instead of being really narrow, we're going to go all the way to the max. All the way to the max up here. And we'll leave this right around, we'll leave it right around 1. Bring it down a little bit. Bring it down a little bit. Bring it right about to there. So about a little bit over 1. And we're going to the max on the stretch setting for stitch width. Let's see what we get this time on this bubblegum material. Yeah, that first run was pretty disappointing. It didn't give us any vision at all of what that stitch should look like. Let's see if this second run gets us a little bit closer. Okay, let's give this a try again. Here we go. Let me stop there and get you down by the action. Hold on. There we go. Now we're getting a little bit closer. And it's going to look really different than what we did with Sarah's. But at least it's going to get us closer to what that stitch pattern is supposed to look like. Apart from my first run that you couldn't even tell what that stitch was supposed to be. Couldn't even tell what that stitch was supposed to be. Get our clips off. And we could run at this again, but I'm going to move on to something else so that we can try out some of the other materials we have as well. So I'll just show you these two. The first one was a total fail. The first one was a total fail. This is our, I'm just double checking. This is our top stitch. And I don't even know what to call that first run. It's just kind of like, that's horrible. Then we did a second one, and then all of a sudden we started to see a little bit more of that crescent coming back into form. It's elongated quite a bit because our stitch width is at max, and our stitch length is not as short as it normally is. But at least gives you an idea of how impactful stitch width and stitch length is when it comes to the stitch pattern presentation, how it looks, how it feels. And that's why a lot of manuals, I don't have the manual for this machine, but a lot of manuals will give you recommended stitch width, stitch length, so you can get the best outcome possible. I don't have that available to me, so we're just kind of messing around and seeing what results we can get, right? See what results we can get. My favorite way for the crescent is to have it a real tight pattern. But you know what? I kind of liking this one too. I'm kind of liking this one where we really stretched it out. It has that pretty drape look to it, almost like it's draping down, doesn't it? Yeah, kind of different. Is there a lock stitch? Yeah, so it's kind of fun to try different things, isn't it? It's fun to try different things with regard to changing the total look of a stitch pattern by messing around with the stitch length and the stitch width. And you don't always have to follow the manual either. The manual is giving you a prescribed recipe. You might like to use a different recipe, and feel free to do that. It's your creation. It's your creation. Yeah. So that's bubblegum material. And that's Candido stitch. Candido stitch. The first one, which was pretty scary looking. The second one, which started to take more of the form of the crescent, didn't it? Now we have Susie with stitch number 12. Stitch number 12. And I don't know did Susie tell me what kind of material she wants? Oh, cotton for me. Susie said cotton. So I don't know if Susie wants to go. We didn't do burgundy yet, if this is burgundy. So maybe we can do Susie's on burgundy since we didn't use it yet. Unless she wants us to sew next to Emma's on the teal. So I'm going to look at the live chat real quick, see if Susie wants the teal or the burgundy on her stitch number 12. Stitch number 12. So these are the two choices. Susie's giving me the choice. So why don't we conserve? We'll save this for the next live stream. We'll start with a fresh cotton sew off, pre-cut already. And we'll move on to sewing next to Emma's stitches that we did. And we'll do this stitch next. How are we doing on time? We got about 20 minutes. Got about 20 minutes. All right. So stitch number 12, we're going to bump this over to here. We're on stitch number 12 now. It's really hard for this camera to see the red on the black. And then we have to move our stitch length all the way over to the default stretch setting, which is all the way by 4. And we'll leave the stitch width the same at the max so that it has plenty of mobility with that tri-motion. And let's do this next one. We'll do it right next to Emma's stitches of stitch number 8 and stitch number 13. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let me get the camera set up and I'll get you right down by the action. Get you right down by the action. Let's see, a little bit higher maybe. Right about there maybe. All right, let's give that a try. And I just realized I'm really close to the edge. Really close to, let me quickly offset that. Because it's going to be, the feed dogs are going to be trying to pull that back and there may not be enough room. There we go. Always take that into account when you're doing a stretch stitch that has that tri-motion that manipulates the feed dogs. Don't start too close to the edge. I've made that mistake. Don't you make the same mistake. All right, here we go. All right, let's check out Susie's stitch now. We sewed it right next to Emma's, and we'll see what we think of this stitch. Again, we're sewing it with a, if you're joining us a little bit late, we're sewing with a size 18 leather needle. Size 18 leather needle, which is not the ideal needle for doing some of the things we're doing, but we're going to try it anyway. All right, so this is going to be our top stitch for Susie's bird foot stitch, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I would say considering we're using a harpoon needle, I think the machine is doing fabulous under the circumstances. I hope you agree. The machine is doing fabulous considering our setup. How about our lock stitching? Lock stitching now. All in all, I would say really quite excellent. But I would work on probably bumping our upper tension back up again. And that's where on the front of this machine, it proudly displays auto tension. Auto tension is more marketing than it is reality. As you're applying some of these stretch stitches, you may have to tweak that tension just a little bit. And again, when you're sewing with a big needle like this, doing some of these applications, I'm amazed at how well it's doing, but it is a Schmetz needle, isn't it? You know, other than like a little anomaly right there, a tiny little anomaly right there on that stitch we did for Emma, it's done just a fabulous job in maintaining stitch integrity, even using a size 18 leather needle to sew cotton, which is kind of unheard of. So beautiful stitching. And beautiful stitching. Those are all the stitches that I have that you selected. So I'm going to goof around for a little bit as we wrap up this live stream. I'm looking at my watch. The customer's going to be here in about 15 minutes, Holly. They're just over towards Michigan. What we did not sew yet, and I want to do it real quick, is we did not sew velvet. Velvet, again, if you don't have a lint brush, velvet is the perfect lint brush. It picks up everything. So we're going to try to do velvet. We'll do 2 layers of it, and I'll pick one of the stitches we haven't done yet. I don't think we did stitch number 11 yet. Stitch number 11 is kind of a groovy looking stitch. This one right here. I think we'll do stitch number 11 and see how this 6233 handles a very difficult tri-motion on a real delicate sew-off like this velvet. We'll see if it can nail it, see if it can get the job done. Get that into position. That way we've given this a fair run. We've done some leather, we've done some cotton, and now we'll try to do a little bit of velvet as well. This 6233. I'm going to clip my ends off. Get that fairly straight. And it looks like I'm starting a little bit crooked already. Let me move that over a little bit more. There we go. All right, so let's do this. Let's set it for stitch number 11. Clicking our stitch selector over 1. We're going to leave our stitch length alone because it's set on the stretch setting, which is marked by 4 and red. If you can see that, hopefully. And we'll leave our stitch width alone as well. Whenever you're doing a tri-motion stitch, one of these stretch stitches, always have your stitch width almost at the maximum. Set your stitch width at the maximum so that those feed dog actions are not restricted. They've got to have that free motion to move back and forth. All right, let's check this one out. And actually, I'll bring you down by the action on this one too. All right, let's see how we do. I'm not going to clip it. Maybe I should, but I'll just try to steer it relatively straight. Relatively straight. All right, here we go. Well, I didn't sew straight, but you know what? I didn't sew my fingers, so that's progress. Yay. That's progress. And I can already see on this one, if we were going to be sewing this stitch a lot, we would probably have to definitely do some tension adjustments. It's very thin velvet sew off. And I can see that it's quite good considering we're using a harpoon needle, but we would do a little bit of fine adjusting on the tension to get that knot a little bit better centered. I can look at that. I can look at the lock stitching already and see that we did not have enough upper tension for sewing this material with the setup that we have. It's good, surprisingly good, but it's not where we would want to end up. It's not where we would want to end up. I can see that it's underserved, which means this bobbin case down here was pulling harder than it should have been pulling. This was not pulling hard enough. And you'll see that straight away when we look at the stitching. Okay, so this is our top stitch. This is our top stitching. And you can see the intricacy of this stitch pattern. It doesn't like the idea that we're using a size 18 needle. We need a finer instrument to properly execute this stretch stitch because of its intricacy and because of the overlay of the stitching. So it's going to look less refined than we would end up with if we went down to a 7511 embroidery style needle. But it's surprisingly, I'll get back in the shot. It's surprisingly good considering our setup. Try this again. I think it's trying to focus on it's focusing on my jacket. Let me turn it this way a little bit. There we go. So you can see on the bottom of that V point, there's a lot of overlay of stitching as part of that pattern. A size 18 needle is not ideal for it. It's not ideal for that. But the machine is doing an excellent job. It's just that we don't have the perfect needle for some of the applications we're doing. Size 18 leather needle laying down a stitch pattern like this with this level of quality, although it's not as far as we'd like it to go, really impressed with this 6233. Quite a lovely stitch outcome. Here's our lock stitch, and here's where you're going to see that tension plays such a vital role in that stitch definition and stitch clarity. Here we didn't have enough upper tension, so the lock stitching is underdefined. The lock stitching is underdefined. In fact, in certain points, you can actually see the knot, instead of it being centered like it's supposed to be, it's dropped down because there's not enough pull. There's not enough pull from the upper tension unit on the stitching. So let's look at that, and then you can see exactly what that looks like and know how to counteract it if you encounter it in your sewing. But it'll kind of look muddy. It'll kind of look undefined. See, the stitching is too loose, and that's a product of the upper tension not being strong enough. The form of the stitch pattern is excellent. It's just not defined enough. It's not defined enough. So our simple solution is bump the upper tension up. If you're going to be sewing more of this velvet. But you can look at it there in a vertical column. The formation of the stitch pattern is spot on. It doesn't have enough tension. That's all we have to correct. That's all we have to correct. So very impressed with the outcomes we're getting with this 6233 Singer from the 1970s. Really, really impressed. And again, we haven't even put the motor to the test, quite honestly. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to move this over there. I will check a text message real quick. I think that might have been either the owner or Susie. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. Susie just sent a message by way of Emma saying, let's do either saddle grade or, yeah, saddle grade leather, and let's do a straight or a zigzag to showcase the strength of this size 110, size 18 leather needle. I think that's a great suggestion. I was actually leaning towards that. That's why I had cut this out, is so I can do some sewing in a circle. We'll do some straight stitching. We'll do some zigzagging. And maybe we can also pull off a quick straight stitch or zigzag on these 2 layers of saddle grade as well. So we can give this 0.9 amp motor a chance to flex a little bit. We've been doing a lot of the light duty stuff. We can maybe step it up a little bit, wrap up the live stream in these last few 5-10 minutes, and demonstrate the strength of this 6233 as well. That's a great suggestion coming by way of Susie acting as the surrogate for Emma. Something like that. All right. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. We're running tight on time. I'm going to switch this over to a straight, and then we'll move into some sewing in a circle to kind of wrap us up. I might even put on some Japanese music to do that with, or some dance music. Okay, so we'll start with a single layer of saddle grade. That way I can kind of look and see how the needle and the thread are interacting with the material, and we can look at some fine adjustments. And I think we'll do a zigzag going down at first, and then we'll do a straight stitch next to it. So I'm going to set the zigzagging at 3, setting the zigzagging at 3 on the stitch width and also on the stitch length. And then I've got to adjust this stitch selector over to number 6, to give us a zigzag pattern. So let's go back to 6. So now we should get a zigzag pattern. Yeah, we're going fairly wide, fairly long, but not to the max. Let's see how we do. All right, here we go. No hand start, and I did give it a little bit more. I usually say gas, but I'm going to say in this instance, I gave it a little bit more air. Gave it a little bit more air to see if we can hear that motor kind of life a little bit more, that 0.9 amp motor. Again, like I said in the title, it's got a bigger motor, and the motor is built very, very well. It's got a bigger motor than the 201-2 Singer, bigger than the 1591. Yeah, and I'm seeing that we might have a little bit too much emphasis on the lock stitch, so I'm going to make a little adjustment before I do any more stitching. Make a little bit more adjustment on the auto tensioner, and take away a little bit of the power of the lock stitch, so we have a little bit more definition on that top stitching. It's really, really quite good, but it's a little bit weaker than it needs to be. Okay, now we'll lay down a straight stitch next to it. Try to get that nice, actually I'll try to do that right on the edge. Adventurous here, see if I can sew relatively straight. Get that right on the edge. And we'll lay down a straight stitch next to that zigzag. The only thing I'm going to change is I'm going to change this, bring it down to there, and then I'm going to change this and bring it to 5 for a straight stitch. That's it. We'll leave the other settings, the stitch length, we'll leave the same as we have it right now on 3, and we'll see how this turns out. See if I can sew fairly straight along this tight edge here, so then we can add the second layer of saddle grade leather after that. Okay? And again, we're sewing with a size 18 needle. It's a pretty doggone big needle. All right, here we go. Well, I didn't sew incredibly straight, but at least I didn't sew over my fingers, so that's pretty good. All right, let's see how we did. Kind of started too close. I started too close to the zigzag, and then I kind of got back on track again towards the middle. So all right, let's look at these 2 stitches. And again, I made a little bit of a tension adjustment because the top stitch was a little bit underserved. So you might see a little bit of stitch definition lacking on the top stitching before I made that adjustment. Yeah. I would do a couple more adjustments as far as tension, but all in all, not too bad. I would say actually quite good. A little bit more top stitch definition needed though. Then if we move over to the lock stitching, and again, look at the thickness of what we went through. You can kind of see it on the angle there. Probably almost 5 ounces of leather, almost 5 ounces of leather. The equivalent of a lighter grade belt that we just sewed through. Lock stitching. And you can see here where the lock stitching, if you look at it real close, is a little bit over defined because it took some of that power away from the top stitching. We would have to balance that out, wouldn't we? We'd have to balance that out. So lock stitching and top stitching. So really quite good, but again, tension is a factor, isn't it? Tension is always a factor when you're working with a wide field of materials. So now what we're going to throw into the mix to give this mammoth-sized needle an opportunity to kind of dance a little bit. We're going to see if we can take this machine from the 1970s and go through 2 layers of saddle grade leather. It's going to look something like that. Let's give this a go. And I think I'll make it a little bit more challenging. I'll go back to a zigzag, and we'll try laying down a zigzag through these 2 layers of saddle grade leather. And this machine does not come, as you'll notice, does not come with a presser foot adjuster. It's going to be adjusting automatically to a great degree. So I'm hoping it does a decent job considering the thickness of the sew off that we're doing. All right, so I'm going to adjust back to a zigzag. Let's see, on our other single layer, we were a little bit overserved on the lock. So, but we're going to be going through 2 layers now. So I'm going to leave the auto tensioner exactly where it's at. I'm going to leave it right about there. Now that may be a mistake. We may end up seeing a lock stitch now underdefined, but I'm going to give it a try and see what we get. All right, I'm checking all my settings real quick. They look like they're good to go. All right, now we're going through 2 layers of saddle grade leather. Again, if you look at it from the side, probably about 5 to 7 ounces, 5 to 7 ounces, almost 8 ounces of leather. And again, they use this for horse applications, equestrian things, all that sort of thing. Not a lightweight leather at all. Now I'm going to try to start going through this, a 0.9 amp motor. I'm going to try doing it without a hand start. And to prove that, let me come out on the shot. You'll see my hands down here. I'm not going to give it any hand start over here. We're going to see if that 0.9 amp motor can make it through this leather without a hand start. I'll give it a little bit more air. Everybody to help me out, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and see if you can help me get through these 2 layers of saddle grade leather with this 6233 from probably around 1978 is what I would guess. 1978. All right, keep your fingers and toes crossed. Here we go. Little bit nervous. Questioning whether or not I should have bumped up our upper tension so we have better clarity down on that lock stitch, but I'm going to leave it the way it is. And we'll know what to do if we have to make adjustments in the future. All right, you ready? Here we go. Now, what I can hear right now, and maybe you can hear it as well, is those feed dogs are really working hard to move this material, really working hard. And I can see already that because I kind of raced a little bit at the beginning, that we're going to have some issues with the stitch presentation. I'm going to see if I can keep it steady from this point forward. I wish I had a way to adjust. I wish I had a way to adjust the presser foot pressure, because when you don't have that control over the presser foot pressure, the feed of that material is not going to be constant and predictable. So you're going to get some of the stitch presentation that's going to be wider, narrow, wider, narrow, wider, narrow, because the material is not feeding evenly over those feed dogs. That would be the only thing I would be critical of when it comes to the result that we're going to get. But I'm going to look at the totality of the stitching, the fact that we did it without a hand start. And all in all, I think we're going to have some good outcomes, some good success. Yeah, all in all, good. Where I raced a little bit at the beginning, we got a little muddle fuddle thing going on, but take into account what we just went through. That's a lot of leather. A lot of leather, especially for a quasi vintage machine from the 1970s. That's a lot of leather, a lot of leather. All right, I'm going to start with the fuddle buddle over here, and then we'll move across. This is where I kind of gave it too much air, and the leather slipped because the presser foot pressure is adjusted automatically. It kind of slipped over there. See what happened? And then I got into a rhythm, but we were still having a little bit of a feed factor because the presser foot pressure was not quite high enough for a sew off of this level. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm happy considering what we just went through. Especially right over here, you can see I had slowed down the rate of sewing so that those feed dogs could have more even feed. And towards the end, we got some really, really nice stitch quality, stitch formation. Beautiful, spot on. Here in the middle, I was still sewing a little bit fast. You can see it's a little bit uneven. But it gives you an idea of how important tension and how important presser foot pressure is as you increase the level of sewing. As you increase the level of sewing. See how the stitch spacing varies because of that presser foot pressure factor. This machine was not really designed to be sewing at this level. It really wasn't designed. It can handle it, but it really wasn't designed to do this. Not even with a size 18 needle. Here's our lock stitching. Again, look at what we went through. Especially over here. Here's our lock stitching. And again, the unevenness of the stitch is a presser foot factor. It's not a tension factor right now. On the top stitch, yes, but not on the bottom. Presser foot pressure is so critical. And on machines where they automize it, they really make it difficult if you want to step up that sewing level. That was my spin out right there at the beginning where I gave it too hard of a push on that foot controller, and you can see that the leather slipped underneath the presser foot. This is a success. It's not the final product that we would want to see because of the level of sewing, But considering the circumstances, the machine, the auto presser foot adjustment on it and everything, we got a very good product through this much leather. A very, very good product through this much leather. So I'm going to wrap this up because my customer is probably waiting outside right now, outside of the workshop. They don't want to bother us. They're probably watching this out in their car. So what I'm going to wrap this up with is a single layer of saddle grade, but I'm going to do it with more of a decorative type stitch to really to showcase the beauty of the machine and the beauty of using this size 18 leather needle. What I have to do is I have to decide what kind of stitch that's going to be. I'm leaning towards either 12 or 10. 12 or 10. I'm probably going to go towards 12. Although I really love this 3-point zigzag as well. And this would be a lot easier to manage considering I'm going to be sewing around in a circle. Could do a blind hem as well. 2 different blind hem patterns, number 7, number 9. Let's see if we can get a quick vote. For me sewing in a circle, why don't we stay away from the tri-motion? Because I think that'll be a little bit pressing it too hard. So we can either do 10, 9, 8, or 7. 7, 8, 9, or 10. 7, 8, 9, or 10. You guys pick 7, 8, 9, or 10, and we'll sew around in a circle on this final sew off for this saddle gray leather. 7, 8, 9, or 10. 7, 8, 9, or 10. We could pull off a tri-motion. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them. But I think for wrapping things up, sewing in a circle, 7, 8, 9, or 10. I'll see what y'all are saying. 7, 8, 9, or 10. Number 10. Let's do number 10. We're going to wrap it up with the eyebrow stitch. Let's wrap it up with the eyebrow stitch. We got to move our stitch length, remember, all the way over to the. Well, no. I'm befuddled. I'm moving the stitch length down. Hello. Moving the stitch length down to right about there. Just right around. We're probably at about 0.5. 0.5 on the stitch length. 0.5 on the stitch length. This is preset stitch number 10. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to decide about the stitch width. I'm probably going to stretch it out a little bit more. Not quite to the max, but right about there. So right about 1, 2, 2.5. And down here, right about 0.5. Yeah, 0.5 to 0.75. All right, so let's wrap this up now. I'll try to get you as close to the action as I can, but I'm going to have to steer this puppy. See if we can do it right about there. Yep, right about there. And give this machine one last chance to shine as I work this puppy going around and around and around through this saddle gray leather. And again, this is probably going to be around 3 ounces of leather. Definitely not garment leather. I don't goof around with garment leather at all. It's a waste of time. Garment leather is an insult to any of the machines that are on my workbench. So you're not going to see garment leather. This is a nice saddle grade, probably about 3 ounces. In some parts of it where they cut the hide, it's going to be closer to probably almost 4 ounces of leather. So it's not lightweight at all. All right, let's see what we get. Oh, wow. Hold on a second. I'm going to place a quick call. Give me a second, you guys. I think there was a miscommunication. I think they're in Marinette and they don't realize that I'm in Oconto. Hello? Holly? Holly, can you hear me? Holly, can you hear me? Hold on a second. I'm trying to get Holly.
Hello.
Hey, Holly, it's Scott.
Hi.
Hey, I think we had a miscommunication. It sounds like you're in Marinette.
Yes.
I am in Oconto right now wrapping up the live stream on your sewing machine.
Oh, okay.
I was anticipating you coming to the workshop, not meeting. I know we met initially. We met initially when I picked the machine up from you. We met in Marinette in front of Joanne's Fabrics. But when we talked the last, my understanding from our texting in that was that you would be driving into Oconto to get the machine today. So I'm in Oconto. The machine is in Oconto, and I'm just wrapping up the very final sew off on your machine. I don't know if you're watching the live stream or not, but
No.
I can certainly, which will be shortly, I can drive into Marinette and meet you at Joanne.
We have somebody coming to cut a tree down this afternoon. What about Friday?
Tell you what, let me call you back as soon as the live stream is done, and then we can work out the final plan.
Yeah.
But as soon as I saw your text message, we're in front of Joanne's, I thought, I don't have any neighbors that are named Joanne, and how would they know the neighbors' names anyway? So yeah, a misunderstanding. But yeah, if you look back at our text messaging, I'm pretty sure you were going to be meeting me here, but it's no problem. We'll figure it out. And I'll wrap up the live stream, and then who knows? Maybe I can even drive out and drop the machine off to you out at your place. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that.
Okay, well, you figure out what works for you.
Yep, I'll call you in about. I'll call you in about 10 minutes or so, okay?
Give me a half hour. We'll be heading home now.
Okay.
So call me in about a half hour.
Sounds good. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
In live streams, anything can happen, including a customer. And I know from what I texted Holly that I said, I'll see you at the workshop. And I even said that when I confirmed it yesterday, but that's all well and good. It's no big deal, not a problem. But I'll make the arrangements to get this machine back to her after we get done with this sew off. All right, so here we go. Let me do this. Let me get up this live stream set up real quick to make sure that I can see what's going on. Yep, okay. I'm looking at the live stream on my phone to make sure that we're running properly. The only thing I can't see is the live chat. I can't see the live chat right now, but that's fine. Okay, so let's finish off. We're going to be doing the eyebrow stitch, as I call it. We're sewing through saddle grade leather, probably about 3 ounces, 4 ounces in certain parts of it. We're going to be going around and around and around and around and around. And I'll see if I can give us a little bit of music to dance by. A little bit of music to dance by. Three, two, one, go. Let me stop there real quick so I can cut that thread. That was fun. That was fun. All right, I'll shut off that jazzy music, which to some might be music, to others they're saying that's noise. That's noise. Well, I didn't know what you could see. I was trying to not look over my shoulder at the camera, or excuse me, at the laptop too much, because I didn't want to like miss my turns and stuff like that. But hopefully you could see some of that as this was stitching down on this saddle gray leather, doing that eyebrow stitch. And wow, what a neat looking stitch that is on the leather, isn't it? Really, really spectacular. And this is the benefit of using a leather needle. It specifically has the anatomy to manage leather like this, like a hot knife through butter. Probably could have made that even shorter as far as the stitch length to tighten it up more, but I think I went pretty far down. I think it was about 0.75. So some very, very nice looking top stitching. We could have chosen a different stitch pattern. We all decided on stitch number 10, which is that eyebrow stitch. I think it was a beautiful stitch to lay down on this, but it could have been any of the other stitches as well. And it gives you an idea why people make professional leather goods with decorative stitching like this, because it right away just reaches out and grabs you and goes, wow, amazing stitching. There's our lock stitching. Equally beautiful lock stitching on the back as well. We maintain some very good tension going through this heavier leather sew off. Because of the size of our needle, it helped quite a bit. So also some very good lock stitching as well. I'm not a believer in the auto tension that was popular in the 1970s and 1980s. Manufacturers were trying to make it real easy on the user, and basically say to them, there's not much you need to do to make this machine work. It's going to be almost like autopilot. But inevitably, if you're going to push the boundaries a little bit, you're going to run into situations where you've got to understand how the tension works, and you got to understand what you need to do to make it work. And we've experienced that during this live stream where we had some sew offset. It obviously required a tension adjustment. There was no auto function whatsoever for that particular type of material. So it's a great way to end up, kind of wrap things up. The only thing I didn't sew is the spandex denim. And as we're wrapping this up, since I'm not in a rush right now with the customer having misunderstood that we were meeting over towards Michigan, the state of Michigan, over by Menominee Marinette, instead of over here in Oconto, I'm not in a big rush right now. So I might do one or two more sew offs on the spandex denim just to see how this leather needle interacts with a sew off like that. It'll be kind of fun to try. But for practical purposes, we're done. This is our last sew off. I want to thank everybody for kind of jumping in and giving us a chance to try not only the saddle grade with the eyebrow stitch, which is really quite amazing. but also the other stitching we did as well, pushing the boundaries of this machine that does not have a means of bumping up the pressure foot pressure. And we still went through 2 layers of saddle grade, but we could see that the machine feed was struggling with trying to give us even feed with a thickness of leather like this. We would have to look at some way of overriding that or using maybe a different presser foot attachment. Maybe a roller foot or a walking foot would give us a little bit more control over the feed factor. But the machine, no hand start, it just launched into it and it got it done very, very nicely. The quality of stitching was good overall, but to get it where we want it, we'd probably have to look at some adaptations. And we also sewed this velvet. And again, with velvet, it's the opposite extreme of needing to look at possibly adjusting tension for this as well to get a good balance on both sides. We also did cotton, a variety of different cotton sew-offs, some of Emma's stitching, I believe it was, and then some of Susie's as well. And this is more of what this machine was made for back in the 1970s. It would have been a cotton sewing machine, possibly some denim as well, and certainly some stretch materials. But that's really the sweet spot for this machine and how it was designed. So we kind of operating with a leather sew-offs and that we're kind of operating out of bounds for this machine, but the machine still stepped up to it, and I think did a really, really excellent job on some of those other sew-offs that we did as well. And then we obviously tried the same stitch we just ended with, the eyebrow stitch. We did that on the saddle, on the protected full grain leather. We did that on protected full grain leather. I believe these were the stitches for Candido, and it did an excellent job on these as well. Again, this machine would not have been a leather sewing machine back in the day. And there are some people today that would have been terrified at what we've done, but that's how we operate on this channel. We do push boundaries. And then here we did the same crescent style stitch, real popular stitch. I think this was the one we did for Candido as well on this bubblegum material. Kind of see why they call it bubblegum. And we laid down a stitch that was just not set properly, and it was all goofy loofy. And then I stretched it out a little bit. We got a nice, big beginnings of a nice crescent looking stitch there. What else did we do? I think that was about it. So not a huge sew-off sandwich, but a good representation of varying materials to try to put this machine to the test a little bit and give it an opportunity to show its greatness on this live stream. And we've been running longer than I anticipated. I think over 3 hours. No, almost 3 hours. We've been running almost 3 hours, and we need to wrap it up. I might goof around with this spandex denim just to see what I can do with it. And y'all can wrap up your conversations. And I appreciate everyone's presence today. We started out, I think, with like 2 or 3 people, and we grew to, I think, 20 some people at the peak. And then we have literally probably 100 people or so. We have literally 100 or so people that will have jumped on, watched for a while, jumped back off, jumped on, jumped off, jumped on, jumped off. I'll see when I see the final numbers. All right. So everybody have a great day. Thank you to the leaders. I'm hoping that our winners, I believe it was Jenny and Alex today, and then we had Teresa before. If you didn't already reach out with your mailing address and with your preference as far as hats and needles, please do that, and I'll get those packages heading out in the next couple of days. So God bless, and feel free to break away whenever you need to break away. I'm going to see if I can goof around in trying to sew a little bit of the spandex denim with a leather needle and see how this machine handles that. See how it handles that. Let's see, 2 layers, 4 layers, 6 layers. See if I can even fit that underneath the presser foot. And I don't know what's going to be the result. It might be a total fail. It might be a success. We'll see. thing that makes me nervous, the presser foot pressure. Presser foot pressure is an unknown factor right now. All right, let me see what I've got here. Go back to stitch number 6. I'm going to set the stitch length right below 3. Set the stitch length right below 3. And also I've got the stitch width right at about 2.5. I'm going to leave the stitch width where it's at. 2.5 also on the stitch length. And we'll see how it does with this spandex. Actually, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. This is the general denim, but I think it has a little bit of spandex in it. Not as heavily as this one here, you can see. This is really a stretchy denim. All right, let's try this, see how we do. No idea what the result is going to be. All right, here we go. Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. It's going to be a little bit hard to see because this denim here is pretty light, but I'll see if I can get nice and close. It's impressive. This is 6 layers. 6 layers of denim. We just sewed it with a leather needle, a size 18. See if we can get the camera to focus on it. Maybe like this. Try it like this. That's really hard to see. Really hard to see. It's beautiful stitching. I wish I could focus in on it a little bit better. See if it'll do it there. See if I can set it down maybe and get a shot of this. Maybe like this. I have to cut my hand behind it maybe. Having a heck of a time because of the material being so light, but that's a beautiful zigzag going through these 6 layers of denim. Look at the thickness of that. Then our lock stitching on the other side. See how that looks. Lock stitching. Beautiful lock stitching as well. Well, that is an absolute, as Susie would say from Minnesota, that's an absolute nailing it. No problem at all. That larger needle really does help, though. It really does help to get those materials separating properly, so that that needle can pass through and can do its job with the thread. Can do its job with the thread. But anyway, I'm not going to blind you anymore with that. But I'm pleased that we were able to do that. Now I'm curious. One last thing I'll do, and again, if you need to step away, I understand. But curious if we can do the same thing. That's more of a standard denim with beautiful lock stitching, top stitching going through. I wonder if we can pull it off with this spandex denim. This spandex denim, you can see what that looks like. So we'll give it a go and see if we succeed or fail. I have no idea. So there's our 2 layers of spandex denim. We're up to 4 layers. And we're finally up to 6 layers. 6 layers of spandex denim. Like that. Like that. If we can pull this off, then I'll be really, really impressed with the versatility of what you can do with a leather needle. The versatility of what you can do with a leather needle. Also, as well, I didn't point it out during the core part of the live stream, but you'll notice if you look closely at this machine, it has a slant design. The needle bar, the presser foot bar are both designed as a slant, similar to the slant-o-matic machines that you see, the 401As, the 403s, 404s, 503As, the 500s, all of those are going to have this same slant design. And it gives you a lot better visibility as those stitches are going down. So as I begin to stitch this spandex denim, I'm going to know sooner than later how well the machine is able to handle that, how well this leather needle is able to manage a spandex denim material like this, 6 layers of it. So we'll see. No idea. We might have success, we might have failure, but we sure nailed it on that standard denim 6 layers. So we'll try it. I'm going to turn the light on and we'll give this last sew off a go and see what we think. See what we think. I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but we'll give it a try. We're not afraid. All right, make sure my thread is not bunched underneath. And I didn't point it out either. I didn't point a number of things out apparently. But this also has a hyperextension on the presser foot as well. If you can see that presser foot, we can gain probably 3 or 4 millimeters by pushing that presser foot lever up outside of its normal range of motion. So that's a really nice advantage as well with this 6233 model. All right, presser foot is down. 6 layers of spandex denim. I'm going to give it a go. Again, we're sewing with a size 18 leather needle. So we will see. We will see. All right, here we go. Once I get my presser foot there, once I get my my foot controller over that air pneumatic foot controller, here we go. All right, we'll see what we see. See if we pulled it off or see if we have a disaster. You know, it looks like we pulled it off. So are leather needles only for sewing leather? Schmetz will tell you yes. And I'll tell you that maybe they can do more, because we certainly have seen that on this live stream today. We certainly have seen it on this live stream today. So here's our top stitching, final sew off, final sew off. Our top stitching. Let me do it like this, probably a little bit easier to see it. I'm going to say, wow, wow, 6 layers, 6 layers of spandex denim, 6 layers of spandex denim. That's our top stitching. How is that lock stitch going to look? That's our concern, isn't it? How is that lock stitch going to look? Spandex denim, 6 layers, this much thickness. Top stitch looks great. Top stitch is fantastic. Top stitch is page 34 plus. What's going to happen with that lock stitch? Bum, ba bum, 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 ba bum, bum, bum. Page 34 plus on the lock stitch also. 6 layers, spandex denim with a size 18 leather needle. Nowhere else on any YouTube channel will you see this level of insanity. This level of insanity. Lock stitch, top stitch. Six layers, spandex denim. Holy mackerel. We have a call from Maryland. We got to take this just for fun. Hold on a second. Hi, this is Scott. How can I help you?
Hi, Scott. My name is Hetty Prater.
Hey, Hetty, how you doing?
I'm calling you from Maryland.
You're from Maryland. I've only driven through Maryland.
Well, don't come here. It's not worth it.
Don't come to Maryland. It's not worth it. What are you saying?
Where are you at?
I'm in Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin.
Oh, I'd love to be from Wisconsin.
You'd like to be from Wisconsin? Well, come on over.
Because there are a lot of Polish people up there and you have Polish restaurants.
Well, I didn't know about the Polish people or the Polish restaurants, but now that you said that, I'm going to be looking for Polish people. Are you Polish?
I'm one of these weird people. I'm Polish and I spent the whole World War II in Poland as a child by myself.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not like a Barbie doll person.
You're not a Barbie doll. Okay.
No. So, I'm 86.
You're 86 years old or young.
Yeah. And my husband died 2000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My son came and daughter-in-law came to help me.
Okay.
The night my son, well, actually, it was just he and I went to the undertaker. I came home and he said, Mom, it's cold in the rec room. I'll find us a movie to watch about aircraft carriers.
Okay.
In Pacific, because he commissioned the Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, wow.
And he said, get a warm pair of pajamas. And I reached up for the pajamas, spun around the corner of the TV my husband had been watching before he hung himself.
Oh, my Lord.
And I fell 8 inches and shattered my femur.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I had a whole house full of my mother-in-law's school.
It sounds like you probably have some sewing machines then, huh?
Well, I have my own sewing machine. It was a gift from my father when I got married.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I made everything on it. I have a 365.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with the 360. Sure.
But my son and daughter-in-law rented dumpsters, and they threw away everything that they got their hands on. And she doesn't do anything, so she didn't know what tools were for. She made the box, but threw away all my bobbins, for example.
Okay.
So she was going to throw out my machine. And my son happened to be unloading a wheelbarrow of my mother-in-law's stuff, and he stopped her.
Sure. Sure.
There's nothing wrong with my machine. I paid $250 to have it overhauled maybe 4 months before my husband died.
Okay. Hey, Hattie, let me do this. Let me do this if you don't mind. Um, Let me give you a call back. I'm right in the middle of wrapping up a live stream right now on a Singer sewing
Sure.
machine. I'll give you a call
Let
back out in
let
Maryland.
me give you the number.
Actually, I've
You
got it,
call.
dear. I've got it. Don't give it to
Sorry.
me. Don't
Yes.
don't give it
Call
to
me
me.
back at your convenience. You can call very late.
Okay, I'll call
This
back.
is the
Yep.
original book of directions.
Yep. Okay, for the Model
Okay.
360. All right, I'll see if I can help you. Okay. You have a great rest of your day, and
Bye-bye.
yeah, I'm so sorry about your sad story with your husband and everything.
Yeah. Didn't expect that.
Yeah,
Oh,
how would you expect it? Yeah, it's horrible.
yeah.
All right,
We.
I'll call you back, dear. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye. Good
Bye.
luck.
You too. Bye. Wow. Wow. Um, I'm used to I'm used to generally a chat, casual, nothing crazy, outrageous, way out there. That was intense. I'll give her a call back and see how we can help her out. I did not see that coming. Did not see that. Get a call from Maryland. I had to take it. So one of those things. Keep Hattie in thought and prayer. She's obviously faced some major trials, as we all do in life. But that is wow. That's way beyond what I expected. So okay, quick wrap up. This is obviously Holly's machine, and we've had a chance to see it do a variety of sewing. We did velvet, we did cotton, we did 6 layers of standard denim with a zigzag. We did bubblegum material. We did more standard denim. Some great outcomes there. We did 2 layers of saddle grade leather, and other than the feed, the machine did a fabulous job with that as well. These are the ones I did off camera with some of the stretch stitches and other ones. So what am I trying to show you? This machine can handle a lot more than it was designed to do back in the day. Everything from leather to spandex denim, standard denim, bubblegum material, velvet, and certainly the cotton would have been made to do, along with the sew around in a circle that we did with this saddle grade leather. So one of the purposes, one of the missions I have on this channel is to try to expand people's mind in realizing that machines can do a lot more than they might realize. Now we want to follow the Hippocratic oath for sewing machines and do no harm. We don't want to harm our machines. But after I went through this machine and I saw the way that it was built, I saw the engineering of it, the quality, the thoughtfulness and design. I was fairly confident that we could run it through the paces today and really show its greatness. And hopefully you agree that we did that, by demonstrating its leather capabilities and all the way down to velvet. So I'll get this machine back to Holly sometime this week, and I hope that she enjoys it a lot. And I will, before I give it back to her, I will pull that leather needle out because I don't anticipate that she's going to be sewing any equestrian type stuff with the machine. She's going to be more of a general sewist. So I'll get a nice Schmetz 9014 universal needle in there that'll take care of probably any needs that she has. Uh, apart from spandex, we already tried 6 layers of spandex with a size 9014 universal Schmetz needle. It didn't turn out well. But when you bump up that needle, just like I did on one of the reels I showed you, I used a denim needle, size 100, I believe it was, and we had success. So needle plays into it as you're trying different material sew-offs, different thicknesses, etc. But thank you to all of you. I know that our numbers have dropped down quite a bit at this point because we've run longer. It's a work week for some of you, and you're jumping in as you can. But it was a wonderful live stream. I hope you have a new appreciation and respect for this 6233 Singer that would have, again, been rolled out probably in the 1970s. It wasn't made in the US, it was made in Taiwan. If you joined us late, you may not have heard that. This was a machine made in Taiwan that just did all of this to a new level of greatness on this live stream. So hopefully, you know, a lot of people will cringe when you hear Chinese made, you know, made in Taiwan, that sort of thing. And right away they go, oh, junk. This is anything but a junk machine. And it's proven that on this live stream today by showing you what she can do. So God bless. Thank you to the leadership team for all that you do, for taking care of the family while I'm busy over here trying different things. And thank you to all of you that have joined us, whether you jumped into the live chat or whether you stayed in the shadows. It doesn't matter. We hope eventually you'll feel comfortable enough with us that you'll step out and introduce yourself and make some new friends that could be in the US or from around the world. We've got a very, very big growing family, as I think many of you have discovered. So God bless you. Take care. And join us again, won't you? Soon. Take care. Bye. All right. Take care, everybody. God bless. And hopefully I have another machine ready to present.